Hello and welcome to episode 62, 61 and a half. I don't actually know what this is, but of an episode of Spreading the Nerd. Being as that Clint is off gallivanting somewhere and basically not playing Hollow Knight, I'm going to be your host today, and joining me today is our good friend, making his repeat appearance from our last episode, FR8 Conductor, aka Nick. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Just getting ready to start my weekend, and I don't know. I joked that I took a nap and I woke up and somehow it was April 1st because it had to be April Fool's, right?
It was the community meme with the guy coming back with the pizzas and the whole place is on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Troy in the infamous gnome,
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, just as a funny aside, you had messaged me earlier and be like, "What are we going to talk about?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think we'll just kind of bullshit, just shoot the shit." Yeah, and then a metric megaton of news came out today. So now we're gonna figure out how we're gonna fit it all in because there's a lot to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
But before we get to that point, what's going on, man? What you got going on these days?
Just keeping busy with life and work. As far as gaming, I've really been I've been hitting Neo 3 pretty hard when I'm not streaming. Absolutely.
You and me are the ones who apparently have gone outside and not finished it in the matter of a week.
I know. Like I felt weird. Like, Clint's like, I'm here, and then Silking it. Like all of a sudden he went from like, oh, I'm gonna get this game on sale to I beat it right behind Clint, and I'm like, what the heck happened, man?
Silking it does always pound through Souls likes pretty quickly. Like, although this one even seems fast for him. But
yeah.
But Clint, I was like, I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see him beating it this fast, but
crazy. Other than that, just finished Chronos finally.
Got really nice. What'd you think?
I'm
I'm
trying to figure out how do I say this. I liked it. Okay, I get the Dead Space comparison. It doesn't quite reach the highs.
No, overall. It's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not as good as Dead Space.
But it was good. I thought the story was very, very dense, very complicated. I felt like up until the very end, I still had no clue. And every time I get a new lore drop, my hypothesis of where it was going was completely different, and it was changing constantly until I got to the end. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought the second to last boss fight was a little disappointing. That would have been in the church.
Okay. Yeah, that one sucked. That one was bad.
I mean, it was a fun endurance thing, but that's all it was an endurance. And it had interesting mechanics, but I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But then the final one,
and then the final phase of it where it starts like flooding acid in the floor was annoying and stuff like that.
It caught me off guard because I had no idea what to do right off the bat.
Yeah.
But then the final one was really cool. I thought overall, it was very, very cheap.
It was. Yes, it was.
I was completely out of ammo, and I won by a punch on my yes.
Considering how tanky that final boss is, that could not have been easy.
I was fully loaded on ammo, right? And I was ready to go, and I was on my 10th attempt, I think it was. And I had finally, was in the final stage, and I was out of ammo, and I'm like, well, all right, well, I guess I'll punch the guy. And I punched him, and boom, ended. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I was definitely worked up. It was like 1:30 in the morning when I finally finished. Knowing I had to be up at 5, and I was upset that the boss made me take that long. So I chose violence for my ending.
Okay. Technically, there is no correct and not correct ending. I mean,
right.
The whole idea is all 3 endings are correct.
Yes, it was a good time though overall. Yes, Nissa was there to watch me.
Was it just yesterday or was it a couple days ago?
It was technically Thursday morning. So yeah, just yesterday.
I saw you start the stream, but when you started it, I actually was shutting off, getting ready to go to bed. So I'm like, well, I won't be there for this one.
That's the curse of how it always goes,
Yeah.
Starting that late. What about you, sir?
Yeah, about the same. Kind of dabbling with some Neo here and there. It's been a lot of watching the Olympics for me this week, so I actually have not played too much. That said, most important part of this week: USA women winning the gold in hockey yesterday. Today, USA men taking out Slovakia. Gonna take down those dirty Canucks on Sunday. Let's go, boys.
Right, Silking it.
Yep. Well, Silken is technically French, so but he lives in Canada. So I don't know where his loyalties there lie. Probably neither place because he really doesn't like sports very much. But other than that, the only other thing I really played much of. And actually, I haven't played it during the week. I mostly played it last weekend. As I did start Yakuza Kiwami 3. And if you've been on the interwebs lately, you know this game's a little controversial for numerous reasons.
Yep.
Some of which I think are completely and utterly unfounded. I'm not saying I like the fact that they hired a voice actor that was accused, to my understanding, not what's the word I'm looking for?
Proven guilty, essentially.
Correct.
Guilty?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, or
of sexual assault.
Yep.
Especially considering he's playing a character who's, if I remember, it's been a long time since I played through 3. If I remember correctly, actually does sexually assault people, not obviously on camera, but it tells you about it. But nevertheless, I actually always really liked Yakuza 3. This game tends to have a bit of a weird reputation with people because it does have some problems, particularly I'm talking the original version. Mm-hmm. Particularly that the enemies do block constantly, so it's actually kind of annoying to fight. But another criticism, and I understand where people come from, but I don't agree with it, is that it has a very slow opening. However, that is kind of important to Kiryu's character development in this game. I don't know if you've even played. Well, you played the turn-based ones, right?
Yep, and I've played 0, and I'm working on 1.
Oh, okay, so you're going through them now then. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so 3 is kind of the beginning of where he tries, obviously unsuccessfully, but tries to put the Yakuza life behind him. So it is kind of important that it has this long opening where not a whole lot's going on. It is slow, but it's, if you like that character, and I mean, I love Kiryu. I've long considered him maybe one of the 2 or 3 best protagonists in gaming history. Much better than Ichiban. Much better than Ichiban. Yes.
Can't get behind that one, but
but you haven't been around long enough, my friend. Just
True.
you wait. Just you wait.
Ichiban was my first. You always remember your first, right?
That's right. But it does so much to just show what a multi-layered character he is. He's not just a thug that's just beating dudes up, right? He's actually which I mean, 1 and 2 do that a little bit too. But 3 is kind of where they really do show his much more sentimental side, and the fact that he does care about these children and stuff like that. And so I love that. Now, but the other thing, and this part I cannot judge yet at all because I don't think it even comes into play until the end, is Kiwami 3 apparently does make some pretty drastic changes to how the game ends. I don't think it changes the main story, but it changes the way that it ends to the point that I guess Kiryu goes in this completely different path than what he actually goes in the other ones. And I cannot comment on this one later because I haven't seen it yet. But I guess it does make it that if they, hey, so what's up? If they were to make a Kiwami 4, and I know what the director said that there won't be another Kiwami, but I think he just means it'll be not exactly what Kiwami is. They're still going to remake 4, I think. They would have to kind of do something a little bit different because it kind of goes down a slightly different path. That's my understanding. Again, I've not finished it, obviously, because it only came out a week ago for me. But and I do think that's a valid complaint. I do find it weird when you, Final Fantasy VII, remaking it to really build the story is one thing, but to change the story is kind of a different and bizarre path. But as of the point where I am, which is still pretty early, I really am just past the prologue. So that I actually really like it so far, and it reminds me of, I guess it'd be probably 2009, 2010 or so, whenever it finally came west, because this one came west years after it came out in Japan. And I remember sitting playing it and playing the opening and stuff like that. And I actually remember specific sentences and specific dialogues with that. So it's kind of got a little bit of a nostalgic thing, not super nostalgic, but and so that's pretty cool. I'm kind of looking forward to it now that it's the weekend. There's still a lot of Olympics to watch and stuff like that, but getting back into it and kind of pushing forward a little bit more and kind of catching up to where we are. So definitely the best the at least real-time combat's ever been in the series, because it actually feels much better than even 0 and Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2 felt. So yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say about that at this point. But
I do have to follow-up question on that one. The
Sure.
other big complaint I saw was the cut side content.
Oh yes, you're right. You are right. Yes. So the original version of 3 had, if I remember correctly, it was 101 of the what do you call them, like the side quests?
Sub-stories?
Sub-stories. Thank you.
Yep.
This one only has 30, and that is a pretty fair criticism too. I did forget about that until you mentioned that. As well as, I guess, Ryukyu is the name of the like Okinawan city that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in Kiwami 3, it's something like half the size of what it was in the original one. But that's not inherently a bad thing, because this isn't like Kamurocho where it's like really dense with stuff everywhere. Like, I remember it being kind of spread out, which is and kind of, I don't want to say boring, but you were taking a good bit to walk between locations originally. Mm-hmm. So I think they probably condensed that to the point of just making it more streamlined. And if so, that's, again, I'm talking from very early game here. I might totally change my mind here in 10 hours. I don't know. But so that is probably not a bad thing. But I do think that the 70% reduction in side stories is probably not a great thing. Cutting some of them out is probably not a bad thing, because 100 is kind of excessive. But
right.
They probably still should have 65. I mean, that's kind of crazy to remove all of them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Stoking, you missed it. We actually were just talking about Neo a little bit ago. we were saying how crazy you and Clint are for potting through it so quickly. But
especially, like I said, for the person who was the least interested in it, it seemed, as far as the overall feel on the server,
Yeah. I kind of figured his opinion on that would change when he said he was going to play the demo, because I know Silken it does like Souls-likes, and I'm like, well, Neo's some of the best ones there is, and from everything I had read prior to coming out, I'm like, most people seem to believe that 3 is the best of the trilogy, and prior to that it was 2, because 2 was awesome. So
yeah,
but yeah, so far what I've played of it, I mean, I'm still in the opening, what do you call it, wandering or warring states there or whatever. I haven't gotten past that, but again, this weekend, I haven't played a whole lot this week, which is a major reason why.
Fair enough.
So I put a couple notes down here just so I don't forget anything. I just figured, in a very quick surface level thing, being as you were here for it anyway, we could recap last week's state of play. And by recap, I just more mean like a week removed. What's your heat check on it? How do you feel?
I still feel I would give it a solid 8. 8 out of 10.
10. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that was in there that was interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stuff that was a variety there. And they also gave you a look at what's to come in the future to give you a little bit of excitement at the end, which I think is what you're supposed to do with these.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I also, even though I am not one of those people, I can appreciate that it seemed like they knew what their base was, and they spoke to their heritage, if you will, some of their pillars, and said, hey, we're bringing these back. We know you love this stuff. Look, we're showing attention to it with, the Metal Gear stuff, the God of War stuff. They just, it seemed like it was a love letter to the fans, if you will.
Yeah, and actually that last part is kind of key too, considering they've lost that this generation, right? Like, that's what most, like myself, for example, most longtime Sony fans are like, this isn't the PlayStation that we like. What are you doing? So, like, it was refreshing to see that, which they unfortunately then choose to walk back a week later, but we'll get to that later.
Right.
But yeah, so if I remember correctly, last week after watching it, I had said I thought it was really good, but not great. But after like ruminating on it a little bit, or marinating on it, not ruminating. After marinating on it a little bit, I was like, no, you know what? That was pretty darn good. Like, that was the best one they have had in a long time. So I'm a little higher on it than you. Not a lot. Like, it wasn't their best ever by any means, but so if we're going number scores, I'd go somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9 for me.
I do want to point out, you almost begrudgingly watched it. In the very beginning, before we went live, you were like, this is not going to be great. This is not going to be good.
So this was all part of the plan. Okay. Because the more I would get excited about a state of play or a showcase, or they called it, the more they always let me down. So I went into this knowing I wasn't going to like anything. That way I couldn't be let down. And as it turned out, I was like, that was actually a really good show. I could have gone into this one positive and been happy with it. Even last time when they actually called it a showcase, when it was an hour long, I was super excited. I'm like, oh, if they got that much to show, they got, and it was terrible. It was what terrible exaggeration, but it was not good.
Right.
Like I got was the one when they revealed Concord, and everyone was like, "What is this?" And then they didn't listen. But nevertheless, I did think, yeah, don't worry, Soaking. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's coming.
We got to talk them up before we tear them down.
Yeah, right. But no, I mean, you saw how even though we knew it was coming eventually, you saw how excited I got for Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, because I have wanted to replay Metal Gear Solid 4 forever, and I do not want to get out of PS3. Well, I should say get it out because
excited you got during that show.
It probably was, which is funny because it's a game I've played 10 times, but I love 4, and I hated the fact that it was trapped there. So knowing finally that its shackles are being removed is great. But I mean, we got some really nice surprises in there. The God of War thing, especially considering news came out afterwards that was not the Santa Monica game that we all know is being made. Like, that's theoretically, according to Christopher Judge, maybe actually being announced later this year. So there's still other things that, it's nice to know that Sony's actually making something instead of just canceling everything. But yeah, so I'm somewhere between maybe an 8.5 and a 9, probably smack dab between the two. But if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably go a 9. I'd probably do a little more on the higher side. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty excited for a lot of things that they showed. It was nice to see Sony finally get their heads out of their ass. But as soon as they got them out of their ass, they put it right back in because, as announced, was it Wednesday this week? As of March, Sony announced, well, actually, Herman Hulst announced that they are going to be closing Blue Point Studios. I have a lot to say about this, Freight, so why don't you get us started here?
Well, I don't really have a ton to say because I'll be honest with you, just like I appreciate what they're doing with the love letter to the fans. It was kind of on the outside looking in, dabbling with some of the PlayStation properties. I think I'm now more getting into it now that I've got a PC and I can play them a lot more. It did seem the community reaction seemed to be very disappointing, and I think looking into it, anytime you see a studio get shut down is disappointing, especially the work they've done. And this seemed to be that studio, especially the ones that did Demon Souls. It was like tailor-made to do Bloodborne, that I don't know. They're outside of maybe Silk Song. It's the one that people talk about the most on the internet. Like, is this going to be Bloodborne 2, or even a Bloodborne remake? That doesn't even take much to make your people happy, your fan base happy. They just want 60 frames per second. Unlock that baby, And they didn't get it done. For a God of War live service game, they canceled. Which, to be fair, I can see why they made that push. It's not the right call, obviously, because it's a lot harder to actually make one of those land than to just like, we're gonna make one of them and we're gonna make 10 of them. You're got a 10% chance to hit, and one of them's gonna hit. Because what they're looking for is if they could have got one to actually blow up and be the No, because if they
and then the beer changes hands later, but we're still going there.
That's in their point. What they're going for is like, I just need one to hit. I mean, you got to look at Epic. Epic is living the high life off from Fortnite. I guarantee you, like, the money they make off from the Unreal Engine is probably pennies on the dollar compared to what they make on Fortnite, and that's what Sony was going for.
I want you to do me a favor. Put a pin in that Fortnite thing, because that's going to come up later. I think you probably know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Or at least you might have an idea where I'm going with it. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just
remember that.
Remember that when we get to our main topic today.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up the Fortnite thing again.
And I think that it's all leftover decisions came from everybody chasing the trend. And it wasn't the right call, obviously. It's a lot harder. You've seen so many. I mean, there's a graveyard of studios and games that have tried to basically Icarus. They went chasing the sun, and where are they now? And unfortunately, there's a casualty of the symptoms. Now, afterwards, why they gave them a year of doing nothing, and I've heard that they were pitching ideas, and so
I read they pitched numerous ideas and they kept getting declined, and it's like,
why?
Well, that's not on them then. That's
Sony. Sony loves remasters. I mean, how many times did we get Last of Us remastered?
Two. Despite what people want to say, two.
Last of Us 1?
Last of Us 1 remastered and Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, I thought we got it like 3 times.
No, people like to
pretend
like
we got. It's not as bad as Skyrim. I will give you that.
It's not even close to Skyrim.
You're right. I can't play it on my Alexa, so we're not there yet. But
That's right.
But yeah, I guess it was disappointing, but I wasn't as attached as most people.
Yeah, I actually did not even get to really go in on this when it happened because I think I mentioned to you I've been so busy at work this week I've barely been able to watch much of the way of news. So let's see. They acquired them in 2021, so this would have been before like any of us really like met up through XEP or anything like that. So you guys wouldn't know me, but I remember when there were rumors that they were acquiring them prior to them actually confirming it. And I remember a lot of people were like, oh, that's a good acquisition. And it was. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't a good acquisition, but they're like, oh, yeah, this makes so much sense. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, Blue Point is a studio that makes more sense being independent and not hey, Alex, how's it going? And not owned by anybody. But they didn't make it a bad acquisition by Sony because it still was. However, you took the best remaster, however you want to put it, studio on the market, and you put them in-house now, and then they did make two solid games. Well, I guess Shadow of the Colossus came out before they owned them, but then they made Demon's Souls remake.
Uncharted Legendary Collection, Gravity Rush Remastered, God of War.
Yeah, we're going way too far back here, though. I'm just talking about in this general time period. Yeah. And yeah, but also you didn't mention the Metal Gear Solid Collection. They did a great job with that.
360 version of Titanfall also. That was in that period.
We'll ignore that one, but
that is considered a great port. I don't care that you don't care about that game, but that's like a very
that may be, but either way, yeah. The point remains. It was not an acquisition I was happy about. It wasn't that it didn't make sense for Sony, but you kind of took them away from what they did best, and then good old Jim Ryan, in his infinite wisdom, decides to have them make a God of War multiplayer game, which, first of all, nobody on Earth wants. Second of all, that's not what they do. They are not a studio that was built to make new things. They were built to remake or remaster, however you want to put it, what already exists. That was such an unbelievable mishandling by Sony. It boggled the mind. And then, as you mentioned, Freight, you find out that they've pitched numerous games over the last year after this stupid God of War project was canceled, and Sony declined them all. And it's like, well, then this is on you. This isn't on them. This is completely on Sony.
The big question that we need to know about that is, what kinds of games were they pitching? Were they pitching other remakes? Were they pitching other remasters? The big thing that was always worrying about the acquisition of Blue Point was that they were talking about doing a new game instead of doing like remakes and remasters. They were probably trying to pitch new stuff, and that was probably getting the no's.
Well, so, and that comes down to poor leadership on Sony's part. Like, that's
Couldn't
not
you just like
that's not why you got them.
You want to do this? Make these. Make these for me, and then we can go back to this. You know what I mean?
How many people have said they want the Resistance trilogy? Why in God's name did Jim Ryan, in his infinite stupidity, tell them to make this God of War multiplayer? Well, I know why, because it's live service that'll make us money.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing that, which would make money with very low effort and very low cost. It just goes to show, since Sony were stupid enough to kick Sean Layden out, they have had nothing but the wrong people running the show there. They have had people that don't know anything. Well, I can't say that about whatever the current CEO's name is. Maybe he does know. I don't know. But Herman Holst and Jim Ryan never should have been anywhere near the positions they're in. That is so unbelievably clear at this point.
Think about it this way. The golden years of the PS5 were Shuhei Yoshida green lights before he got kicked out, and also Sean Layden's. So
yeah, it was all carried over from him. Jim Ryan did nothing that was positive for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. The only thing that people can even dare say is positive is that he greenlit Astrobot, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's like
out of like a bunch of bullshit.
And anybody with a brain could have greenlit that because it didn't cost them anything.
Exactly.
So yeah, he was. The topic of today's show is going to be bad leadership, and so there's how we start.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is just. I will say, I have not seen a single discussion about this that has not said this is an unbelievably stupid decision by Sony. No matter how diehard of a PlayStation site critic whatever it is. I have not seen one person say this makes a lick of sense.
Go to any post that they've made, like in social media or even recent videos that are in the PlayStation like channel, random stuff. Everyone's spamming. Why did you do this to Blue Point?
Yeah,
Why did you do
should.
this to Blue Point? It's like,
and they should. Like, it's a moronic decision.
Yeah, the PlayStation base right now is furious, like unanimously furious. Even like the chills are not able to shield their way out of like saying that there's anything good about this because there isn't. Because
you guys, just a little side thing. Did you see what Jaffe put up before the news about Xbox went up?
Yes. The thing about he tagged Phil Spencer and be like, "Hey, Blue Point people, gather together. I'm gonna fund your game."
Yes.
Yeah, that didn't age well.
Okay,
no,
Texas.
definitely not.
I was looking to see where Blue Point was even based out of. I wasn't even sure if they were a United
Texas.
States company or not.
Texas. Yeah, and they were
It's even
70
easier.
people. It's 70 people. It's like they're not even that big a team.
Yeah. Like there is no good reason for this. If you had to shutter a studio, there are way other ones that Sony could have shuttered. That's not that one.
Isn't Texas pretty cheap too?
Yeah, exactly.
As far as, like, development wise.
It used to be cheap, and right now with all the bullshit happening and economically wise, like Texas is getting a little kind of like muddy when it comes to cheapness. So
it's still
but
nowhere
it's not
near
your California.
It's not even close.
Yeah, but it's like it used to be much cheaper than what it is now. Like right in the year of our Lord 2026.
Where in Texas are they? The only part of Texas that's really that crazy is like Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Where are Blue Point Studios located? They are in Austin. Yeah, I actually don't think Austin. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Austin's up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Houston's by far the most expensive part of Texas.
Yes,
but
it's like if Houston and Dallas are kind of like up here, like Houston used to be much lower, and it's slowly gone up with the with the recent stuff. So, but it's still not worth closing. It's not worth closing that. And
this is just like Microsoft with Tango. It's like it was obviously Tango I'm sure would be even cheaper to operate because they were in Japan as opposed to the United States. But it's like they were a small studio, not in California. Like you didn't need to do this. This didn't make you any money. And all you had to do was, instead of having them make a game they were not built to make, you have them remake something which they can usually turn around in. Let's say they did the Resistance trilogy, right? Yeah, they could probably turn that around in 2 years, like max.
Yeah, the most tragic thing about this is that I think this puts the kibosh on Bloodborne ever coming back now.
Oh yeah, there's zero chance.
It's over unless it's Nix's the one that does it, because remember Nix's did remind them
that they exist. Please don't remind them that they exist. If anything happens to them, I swear. As a PC player, Nix's is my favorite studio.
What's weird though is the last few like ports. I don't think Nix's have even made for some reason. Like they didn't do the Last of Us 2 port. That was Naughty Dog.
Yeah, that was Naughty Dog, and it wasn't a good port.
No, 2 was. The first one wasn't.
The second one also had issues, but the first one was legendary.
The first one was a disaster. Yes.
And didn't Insomniac did their own for Spider-Man 2, or did
Nix's
did do that one, but
they blamed that Spider-Man 2 launching bug is because they did both that and Horizon Remastered back to back. Because you got Horizon, then a few months later you got Spider-Man. They're like, ugh, and Spider-Man kind of came in hot in PC, so people are like, they probably took on too much too soon there. But they've been doing the PC ports, and 80% of the time they've been good.
Well, that's what they do. Like they were the ones who did the port back in the day of Deus Ex. The first, well, not the first one, the third one. Not Mankind Divided, Human Revolution, and that was an incredibly good port. Like the PC version was by far the best version.
Oh yeah,
and so it's like they knew what they were doing. Which now that one was a very smart purchase by Sony. Right, like that's exactly what they needed.
And like they were so famous by always working with Crystal Dynamics to do their PC ports of all of their games, from the Tomb Raider 2013, 2015, even Avengers. Like their PC ports were always good. So that was a smart snatch. But I
don't think they did Helldivers either. I think Arrowhead did that themselves, didn't they?
Yes, and what Nix's helped them do was compress the file after the fact, because it was like bloat.
I remember that. Yeah,
and then Nix's was like,
it went from 152 to like 30 gig or something crazy. Yeah.
They kind of came in to just be like, your game shouldn't be that like that big for the kind of game you are, and they helped them with that. So they're like experts on their craft. The thing that worries me is especially that they might get the remake like jobs because of what they did with Horizon, because Horizon wasn't just a port. They did the visual like redone. That Guerrilla.
Oh yeah. The you're right. The remastered version. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, did Sony looked at? Okay, let's see what we have in our portfolio. It's like, oh, look what Nixus is doing. They've been like producing, and Bluepoint got nothing. So Bluepoint kind of gets the axe, even though they should have always been the remake studio, and the other one was supposed to just be the PC port studio. So
yeah, it's mismanagement. Like this isn't even a case of, I mean, we keep saying this over and over with all the other studios, but this is definitively mismanagement. This was not, the studio did not fail in any way. They were given projects they should never have been given.
Yeah, and it's very. Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to ask, was there any like financial downturn that recently hit them that made them think that they needed?
No, they just recently said they had a really good year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, I that's
crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can have a good year and still be like, yeah, but our trajectory is not good. We do, but this wasn't it. This wasn't the move. Like this was not the right way to do it.
Yeah, and I think the worst part is that now, like the last work that Bluepoint ever did was be support studio for God of War Ragnarok. Like that's the last thing that they ever have like in their credits. What's the last thing they did? Oh yeah, they were one of the sound support teams that got that game out the door in the pandemic. And it's very clear that they saw the work they did. It was like, now you make a God of War live service because you already worked on assets. It's very clear that's kind of like, that was probably like the mentality of like why they greenlit a live service game for them, just because like they had work. And to me, the worst part was that last week with the State of Play, when they announced the remake, I was like, this seems like, oh, is this Bluepoint? That makes sense because they made God of War Collection. That's what I thought. And I'm like, oh no, so now this is an internal, like developed like Santa Monica project. That kind of sucks. Because that's like opportunity.
You talk about the trilogy remake?
The trilogy.
They said the State of Play it was Santa Monica making.
Exactly. But at first I thought it was just published, but the real work was being done by Blueprint because remember Santa Monica used to put their name on literally everything. Like
that's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, people think that the Order 1886 was Santa Monica, but that was already at dawn. But
they were more like the support studio. You're right. I forgot they did used to do that. Or did do that.
And us knowing that there's still that Cory Barlog game that we got the news last week that
I mentioned that earlier actually. Like when we first started talking about the State of Play, I had mentioned that we found out after the fact Santa Monica's actual next game we still don't even know about technically.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, okay, it makes sense how they have those projects going because Santa Monica is not that big a studio, like it really isn't. It's like it's still like a Naughty Dog and Insomniac have a bigger headcount than Santa Monica's, ironically. So that's why I was like, okay.
Santa Monica is like 250, I think, something like that.
Yeah, and then like Insomniac's the biggest one because they have like the three branches, and then there's Naughty Dog, which is like their biggest single studio after the fact. So that's why I was like, okay, maybe that's how Bluepoint finally got their project. Like they got experience doing that, and now we know not. So I was like, oh, great. Like,
you know what else would have been a good project to put Bluepoint on? The remake of Uncharted that they turned down. That would have been a good project to have them do.
And also because they did the Nathan Drake collection. So it's like these are two players
they had experience with this, and we saw that they were capable of remaking games well. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus and especially Demon Souls were very, very good remakes. And Demon Souls was not an easy game to remake. I would say Shadow of the Colossus might have been the easier of the two because Demon Souls was so archaic in how it worked. Yeah. But they did a good job with both of them. So clearly they don't have they can make something new by taking what exists already and making it new, which is something that would be valuable to Sony. I don't understand this decision in any way.
Yeah, and think about like their versatility that they were able to do. Uncharted, Gravity Rush, Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls, 4 games that are all completely different, but in their own tech, they understood those games and they kept the spirit and essence of those games. That was their talent, and they let go of that talent.
Do like a Killzone, like that would
exactly. That's another one. That's another one they could do, and
they don't have any FPS games right now like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like there were so many options you could, even if you go like, we really need to get them on something, but they haven't pitched anything we like. Here, like I said, Resistance is going to sell. You're going to sell that trilogy. Killzone, you're going to sell that. Even if it'd probably be dumb to take out the multiplayer, but even if you just make it the campaigns, you will still sell that. Like, it makes no sense here. I don't understand what they were thinking.
And you know why they would sell more? Think about what's happening with Nintendo, that so many GameCube era games have come back and they sell so much, but originally those games didn't sell well, but because their stature grew over time because of people evangelizing those games, and those franchises kind of like growing, is like it makes it more eager to see like what all these old franchises that people talk about are all about, and that's how why these kinds of remakes work. And Sony didn't really find value in that because they just want to keep industry planting horizon. It's a different thing.
It's the strangest thing. So Sony used to understand what they had. They don't anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, they insist on looking at what they want to have. It makes no sense. This is why Sean Layden should still, I mean, assuming he would want to, should still be running PlayStation, because he understood what his studios were capable of. He understood what the audience liked and didn't like about PlayStation. He understood what was going to sell for the PlayStation brand.
To be fair,
Ryan did not.
What they see though is, you look at Matt Piscatella's his weekly breakdowns. What's the top play in the console?
The exact same
never moves. Never moves. So if they can get one game to land on there,
you're not going to, though. That's just it. You're not going to.
That I know, but that's like
that's what this company
Apple. You know, there's the Apple in front of Adam and Eve right there. Like, we need that. We want that. Like, that's it would show them to
like
they made.
We always mention Colin, and I'm afraid you know who I'm talking about, right?
Colin Moriarty.
When I say Colin, okay. Yeah. He used to always say, no, he did say that the 12 games was ridiculous, but he would always say, like, no, it makes sense because, you know, you see how successful are, blah, blah, blah. This is what you want. And I'm like, I just don't agree with that, because what you do is what they did, which is you make sure that your platform is the highest selling one. And then you don't have to put any money into this and you're still getting a cut from it. I get what he's saying, which is you get 100% of the cut there, but you also have to put an unbelievable amount of money into developing it, an unbelievable amount of money into maintaining it. And then doing this with 12 games, like, it just didn't make any sense. Sony went out of their way to not sell PS5s, and they somehow still did. Like, they really did.
That is the irony of all of this, is that they've done the stupidest decisions, like back to back, and they just seem inoculated from that ever hurting their bottom line. Like, somehow, like, they can keep doing all of this.
They are masters at taking a handgun and shooting themselves in the foot, while then watching Microsoft take a shotgun and shoot themselves in the leg.
It's literally, I honestly feel it is literally your library.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the library. It's the library in the name. I
bet you that's half the reason why GTA Online is still infinitely more popular than Red Dead. Because who's going to go and switch to a new game? And I'd be really curious to see how GTA 6 Online does compared to GTA 5 with all the investment that players have made over the years.
Yeah, that's why everyone sees GTA 6 as kind of like the last unicorn for this generation. That's finally the game that gets people to move over, because people are still hanging on to hell or high water to PS4. It's like slowly some games are like, get out of PS4, come to PS5, like Genshin, that this year they finally were like, no more PS4 for you guys. Like, you want to keep playing, switch over to PS5. Like, GTA slowly has been doing that, where more updates are coming to the next gen port, but GTA Online is still being played in PS4. But it's like, finally people are slowly moving them over and over to be like, this console is just too damn old. But the problem is that console was also so damn good at the time that it's still hanging on. Like, how many years now? Like 13 years later.
Yeah, it came out
we're upset that Netflix dropped support for PlayStation 3s.
Yes,
you know, so how many of those get out there that there's some noise coming from that?
Yes. But at that point, people didn't even complain that no more Netflix and PS3s. Like, it's been more than 20 years. It's like some things just eventually just get expired, and PS4 is still just kind of kicking, and no exclusive, no other game has gotten people to move on from the most played games, which are still the same damn games. Fortnite, Warzone, Roblox. So,
Minecraft is still there.
So those like black hole games that are just like getting all that. I would recommend if you follow the game business, find the new report by Matthew Ball. He does business analysis like per year, and it's pretty interesting stuff, and also pretty dire stuff. I would say that single player stuff right now are like takes so much money now, and they just don't make the ROIs, which is why you see all these investments trying to get into live service, because the pie is like so lopsided, how much it takes and how long it takes to make these kind of games versus what they get in return versus what a live service could be. It sucks that's kind of like the reality, but that's why we see this. Right. That sucks for us that like single player stuff. So
I don't know how I didn't see Silken say this, but he's right. And Fair Games is still officially alive.
somehow that's
Fair Games will do just as bad, maybe not as bad as Concord. It will do as badly as Highguard. Nobody cares about this stupid ass game, and I cannot believe they have not canceled this yet. He's right. I keep forgetting about it, but I know it is still being made. There is nobody that cares about this game. Also, let's be very clear too. It has the worst name I think I've ever heard in a game.
Yeah,
Fair Games is an abysmal name. That is atrocious. But yeah, so now that we've dogged on Sony long enough, I think it's time to to move over to their somehow even more incompetent competition of Xbox. It was, I guess, leaked, but then he did confirm it after the fact that as of this coming Monday, which would be the 23rd, if I remember correctly, Phil Spencer is retiring. And this is the bigger news, in my opinion. Sarah Bond is resigning. He is being replaced with, I forget her name again, Asha Shar. So we're going to take this in chunks because there's a lot to talk about here. So the first part is, I just want to get you guys' opinion on this. Do you believe that Phil Spencer has been discussing for months to retire, or do you believe that this was a... Okay, actually, let me rephrase that. That's a bad way to put that. Do you believe that he decided to retire now, or do you believe that the timeline got moved up, perhaps against his will?
Alex, I believe the latter, because he did talk about retirement in the...
That was why I went back and changed what I said, because I'm sure he has been talking about retirement. But yes.
And the fact that he had put Sarah Bond as president of Xbox around the time of the ABK acquisition, it was very clear who he was grooming as his successor. So what is clear to me, what happened here is that they've, like, Satya and company finally decided to scapegoat someone for their unrealistic, we need 30% profit margins, and the hardware.
We'll get there. Hold that thought. We'll get there.
Yes.
Freight, what do you think here?
Yeah.
I'm torn. I think it's either there's a decision came down the pipeline that he would have to make, or something that was coming down that he really didn't want to be a part of and he walked away. Or maybe he just got sick and tired of being the guy that fighting that fight and obviously not getting anywhere.
Yeah. And to add to Freight there, like, it's been, this past 2 years has been really tough seeing this same leadership have to parrot talking points that are complete opposite to everything they set out to do this generation, and try to keep a straight face about it and swindle so many people into buying the complete 180 like position of everything they tried to do in that generation. Is like
we'll get there too. Actually, Freight and I were talking about this before the show started. That will come up later. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, now I'm also of the mind that, now again, I don't dispute that he was definitely talking about retirement. He even mentioned this a year ago that he was probably looking at it. I do not believe for 1 second that his planned retirement date was Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I do believe absolutely that it became either, like you said, Freight, either he didn't like something that was coming down the pipeline, or Satya or somebody said, hey, we need to make a change and it's time to do this now.
Honestly, the biggest sign of that being the case, Sarah Bond.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Her resigning goes to show you one of two things. And actually, I said this to Clint when he sent me the link to it today. I told you I hadn't been keeping up on the news. Either A, she discovered pretty quickly that she didn't like the way things were going, or they weren't going the way she wanted, or two, she was not getting the position that she thought she was going to get. She threw a temper tantrum and left. And actually, this is not necessarily an A or B. This could be an A and B. But I definitely agree with you. Sarah Bond is I'm going to use Colin's favorite saying here. Sarah Bond is the canary in the coal mine on this one, to basically show that this was not planned, at least any more than within the last week or so.
Do you see
her
that
press release, the memo? She talks about how she's been watching her for the last couple of weeks, stepping in and kind of like to take over the position for Phil. Like, she's been impressed with the job that she's done, and the care that she's taken with everything going on.
Who said this one?
Sarah Bond. She put it.
Sarah Bond.
Okay.
There was a memo.
Okay. Yep. I did not see this one.
After the fact. And this was after when we got news that she had resigned. Her last post on social media was asking for the accessibility, like feedback over in LinkedIn. So we were like, why is she asking this? She just resigned.
Well, somebody did point out
that it was
She
scheduled.
doesn't run that, and it was probably scheduled. Yeah,
exactly. But that's still not a good look. It's
Oh
not a
yeah,
good
because
look.
that means it wasn't planned at all. Yeah.
So before we go any further, I don't know if you read this trade. I'm sure you have, Alex, but I'm going to read it anyway. The message that Asha, her thingy.
I know what she said. Yeah,
I've heard the abridged version.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. It should be this one. Yes. Okay. So as shared by Jeff, aka Chinaman Keeley. Dear team, today I begin my role as CEO of Microsoft Gaming. I feel two things at once: humility and urgency. Humility because this team has built something extraordinary over decades. Urgency because gaming is in a period of rapid change, and we need to move with clarity and conviction. I am stepping into work shaped by generations of artists, engineers, designers, writers, musicians, operators, and more who create worlds that have brought joy and deep personal meaning to hundreds of millions of players. The level of craft here is exceptional, and it is amplified by Xbox, which was founded in the belief that the power of games connect people and push the industry forward. Thank you to Phil for his leadership and to every studio, platform, and operations team that built this foundation. We are stewards of some of the most loved stories and characters in entertainment and bring players and creators together around the fun and community of gaming in entirely new ways. My first job is simple: understand what makes this work and protect it. That starts with 3 commitments. First, great games. Everything begins here. We must begin. Okay, this is actually longer than I thought it was. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Mm-hmm. But if you want to read it, go find Jeff Keighley's thing. However, I will paraphrase here. First, great games.
The return of Xbox. Read that.
Because this is specifically what I was interested in. Mm-hmm. Second, the return of Xbox. This one I will actually read. Mm-hmm. We will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and to the developers who build the expansive universes and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console, which has shaped who we are. It connects us to the players and fans who invest in Xbox and to the developers who build ambitious experiences for it. And then she seems to completely contradict that in the next paragraph by saying, gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of any single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, Xbox should feel seamless, instant, and worthy of the communities we serve. We will break down barriers so developers can build once and reach players everywhere without compromise. So again, this section is the whole reason I wanted to talk about this, because taking out it's not exactly a contradiction, but there could be a contradiction read in there, right? Mm-hmm. This is interesting, and this is one of the reasons why I am a little more open, I think, to this change than some people. Now, we know Microsoft are the masters of saying something and then doing the exact opposite, right? I shouldn't say Xbox. Oh, Microsoft too. However, I believe this matters right here, because this is where I think Phil Spencer and his agenda, whatever you want to call it, really got off the rails and potentially permanently damaged the brand. And I wonder if perhaps it's too late. I hope not. I want to be very clear. I do hope that this gets it back on track. This matters. It is time, but it's like you were saying, Alex, this is once again, you said one thing last week, and I understand it is a different leadership group, but now a week later, now it's back to this. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the direction they should be going. I really do believe that. Or at least if I'm understanding what she's saying, this is the direction I think they should be going.
Yeah.
Bring back exclusives to Xbox. Now, it doesn't mean everything. I mean, Call of Duty, still needs to be able to whatever. Don't release everything on your competitor's platform. That is the dumbest thing I have ever seen a company do in this industry.
Yeah.
Don't make it that you're obviously we only have rumors about what the next Xbox is going to be, but all the rumors tells me it's going to be a massive failure, because who would buy it, right? Mm-hmm. The rumored $1,200 to $1,500 price point that keeps circulating.
Yeah, the PC Xbox. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, it's not that the PC Xbox itself is a bad idea; it's that the price point's a bad idea, and the price point is the whole point of console gaming. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't imagine that's going to change, because that's probably so far into production.
I think right now, I mean, shoot, you're more than that. I mean, you're looking at a 4070 computer is like a $2,500 and a pre-built.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
which is ridiculous. They're already projecting the GameCube to be over $1,000 with the price of everything right now.
Mm-hmm. But so this, and again, I want to be very clear. I am taking this all with a grain of salt, but I liked this paragraph. This is what I want Xbox to be doing, is get back to being Xbox, not Xbox publishing.
Yeah.
You could do the both, but you need Xbox. You need exclusives. You need your device to be in houses and not, well, we don't care if they play it on a PlayStation. That's fine. Like, no, at that point, don't make the damn hardware, right? What do you guys think here?
I wish I could believe that they want to do what we hope they do based on what they write there. The next paragraph just confirms that's not going to happen. And this will never happen when you have the head of all, which is Satya Nadella, which is, I hate exclusives. I like my software being everywhere. That's
sure.
That's what he does. And
he has said that, and I totally agree with what you're saying. How much of that was simply too bad? Well, I guess this is the other thing now.
He was the head, and that's the thing.
Well, he was, but he was the head of the company who this was the direction they were going with Game Pass and all that stuff, right? Is this potentially signaling we don't like the way that direction was going and we're going to pull back on it?
Yeah. Very hard to say.
Yeah. Obviously, only time's going to tell. It's just I'm more spitballing here.
Yeah. If Satya Nadella would have left at the same time as all of this and someone else had come in, I would believe that they would try to reshift their business. But unfortunately, we live in the reality that they absorbed ABK. ABK takes a shit ton of money to run. It takes so much like dev time. It takes so much like money to like have all these people employed to kind of keep like the machinery going, that they originally said they wanted to walk back, but they kept the machinery going just the same and taking in all that cost. So it is very hard now that they have all that overhead like that they took on because they accepted the vision of let's buy all of this. Is like I peek. I love the butterfly effect of thinking, could we peek into the timeline where ABK never happened? Because
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that world, like how different it is.
Yes, because ABK is the reason why we're here now, where they like the entirety of the Xbox of the Xbox identity completely went kaput, because it's like the only way that you make the numbers work, like having absurd ABK, is putting everything everywhere. So
yeah, and again, this is something Freight and I were talking about before the show, and we'll recap kind of what we discussed, but it definitely, there's no question, ABK and to a lesser extent Bethesda, but basically at its very root, Game Pass is the reason we are at where we are now, right? Like Game Pass was the small domino, ABK was the big, or actually, I guess Phil Spencer retiring was a big domino, and somewhere in there was ABK and all that stuff. But Freight, what do you think here?
I'm not a big fan of exclusives, to be honest with you. I'd be cool with timed exclusives. I think that serves a place in very similar to what Sony's doing. But I think overall exclusive, just especially now with the way with the market being mature, I think overall you're just trying to make the most amount of money possible. And I don't know that I mean, it works for Sony right now because they're already the market leader, right? And that's why they keep them with exclusives, because if they give those up, they can lose that. Their identity.
You could actually probably argue Nintendo's the market leader, and it most certainly works for them. So,
well, and they're in there, but I mean, you look at people who are trying to buy their market share with exclusives. Look at Epic. Epic spends money. I mean, shoot, Alan Wake 2. I loved Alan Wake 2. Look at how that sold on PC because it was stuck behind the Epic store. I mean, it doesn't always. So I would say timed exclusives make sense, but I think overall, we're going to slowly move to that point in time where they got to be everywhere. I mean, you look at, there's so many times you got 90 million sold, the market leader in PlayStation 5, and there's still games that don't hit their market sales because they're exclusives, even if you had in PCs. I like what they're saying though, you know, as far as, because the number one fear that everyone has of continuing to invest in it is what's going to happen afterwards. What's going to happen to my library? So the people that you do have, you want to give them some hope for the future, so they don't just drop what they're doing right now, and you have some money coming in to get to that next step of hardware, which I would like to see, because to be honest with you, some of my favorite memories of gaming was like the 360 days. You know,
absolutely
had one. That was peak gaming. Xbox Live, great lineup. You know, it was a time.
I always say one thing I will never forget as long as I live was the night Halo 3 came out, going home and seeing the USA map, and it was white because everyone was playing Halo 3. Everybody was playing Halo 3. It's like that was so cool because you don't see things like that.
Yeah, it's like Xbox commanded like the zeitgeist. It's like people that say that they never had that. It's like, no, that's bullshit. It's like they had like when they were running things right, like they had the hype, they had the market share, they had like they could set terms themselves because like they had the hype that they no longer have, and then the current leadership that inherited that never had the foresight or kind of like the fortitude to try to recreate that because they were just not as experienced as the people that was able to create the zeitgeist of the 360 era, and instead they were working overtime trying to PR their way and to be like, no, that's not the way you do these things now. It's like this is like the new way, and trying to like mind control people into accepting.
They tried to convince everybody of something that clearly was not true, right?
Exactly. And
I would argue, look at Steam. I mean, they're the de facto place to. I mean, granted, they're not hardware, but they're the de facto place to go and buy your game on the PC. Why? Because of the services they offer. I think that it's more. And how many exclusives do they technically have? They don't have any.
Exactly.
So, So I think that really it's services and the ecosystem that trumps it all.
So I guess as a segue from that, Freight, I had mentioned earlier when you said Fortnite, put a pin in that. So what I wanted to say on that, this is something Alex and I have actually discussed in the past. I think on the show, but maybe just in private. I don't remember. Something that always drove me nuts about this particular generation is going into it. If you remember the PS5, everybody was pretty damn down on it because Sony was doing a lot of stupid shit, saying a lot of stupid shit, being greedy pricks, which they seem to have not reverted from that. But I digress. Xbox, however, had all kinds of good steam because they were getting the right message out there. They were saying the right things. The hardware seemed solid, blah, 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 right? But then when it didn't work immediately, they just like that, just changed course because they couldn't just go, we have the right idea. It's just going to take some time to grow. We got to cultivate this and go and just stay the course and we'll be fine. No, they wanted immediate turnaround and they kept changing and changing and changing and changing. And the reason I said about Fortnite is because, so obviously we all know that Fortnite's the second or third biggest game in the world now. Let's not forget it wasn't always that. That game was a disaster when it came out, when it was that stupid Save the World or whatever that nobody cared about.
Yep.
So
Epic,
it was
kind of fun, but yeah, it was not.
Well, but my point is it was a complete failure. That's kind of the point I'm trying to get at.
Yes, no one cared.
Right, nobody bought it, nobody cared about it. So then Epic copied the Battle Royale thing, and if you remember, it did grow pretty quickly. But even at first, people weren't all that into it because it was still Fortnite, or because it was still the
kids versus PUBG. PUBG
right.
was the other competitor.
But and I mean, bear in mind, I hate Fortnite, so I just want to be very clear about that. I want to get that out there. I have to say that. But Epic stuck with it because they knew that if they did it right and cultivated it and kept sticking with it, kept building it, kept advertising it correctly, it would get there. And look what happened. Microsoft has infinite more money than Epic, right? And they chose not to do this. They chose to immediately change when they didn't get the numbers they wanted right off the bat. That is so frustrating to me because it's like, even if I don't necessarily like Game Pass all that much, it still was working. Your strategy was the right strategy for you. You had it going, and you just didn't wait. You wanted the numbers immediately, which was never going to happen. You had an ingrained community on the PlayStation or Nintendo or wherever you want to look at it that you had to eventually coax over to your side, right? That doesn't happen overnight. You got to stick with it, and they just would not. So that was why I said I wanted to put a pin in that, because I wanted to specifically mention that there's an example of when you do that and you do it right, it works, right?
With Xbox, it was just pivot after pivot after pivot after pivot. It wasn't just one pivot. And there's a few pivots that I kind of understand why they wanted to do it that way, because of they probably got into. Let's not forget, a pandemic happened. Pandemic disrupted so many development timelines that they probably were thinking that all those studios that they purchased back in 2018 or 2019 were going to have a game ready at least by 2021.
Yeah, that's a fair point for sure. Yeah, there's no doubt.
So of course, like they would try. They would have wanted to be like, okay, let's try to bolster this, because that initial plan didn't quite work out. I still 100% believe that when the ABK thing fell on their lap, that was kind of like the end of everything, because like that felt like the opportunity of a lifetime. Be like, well, now we can finally control Call of Duty. Now we can finally like put that on Game Pass. That's gonna be the thing that's gonna finally bring everyone here because Call of Duty is just that damn big.
We can buy our way into being the destination was the idea that they had.
Exactly.
Yep.
And with someone with that kind of money is like, I understand like the kind of like I understand the hustle, but then it's like it's clearly they didn't really study the reality of what it was gonna mean having that under them, because like they probably were like, man, I wish we could still be a footnote in Microsoft's overall like financials, because like every time that you hear a financial like call from Microsoft, Xbox was barely mentioned, because no matter what, Xbox was always a tiny bit of what everything Microsoft else was doing, whether it was them investing in Copilot or whatever the fuck Microsoft did at the time. Like no one cared about like what Xbox was doing. They invested in the OVK. Finally, they care, because like that was the single most expensive like money move that Microsoft's ever done in its history. So of course now the money people will be like, okay, you approved that, so where's the ROI? Where's the ROI?
They spent more on that than some entire countries are worth.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna draw the attention of your shareholders. Did you have something you want to say, Fred? I heard you say something.
Well, I was just gonna point out too. I mean, it's not necessarily like they couldn't go exclusive. You can't. You got to go back to the FTC. The whole year-long FTC fight, they had to straight up say that, like, no, we're not going to do exclusives. Like, that was the only way they were going to get that through, with the way they fought that tooth and nail. You think how much they had to spend on that, and just have that money sitting out there before they could get that back. It's just that, and they've also too. I've always found that they sometimes they pivot and they make a good decision that a lot of the internet doesn't like at the time. They face backlash and they don't stick to their guns and they pivot away from it. That the online, they were the first ones with the idea of the family library, of an online digital library with the Xbox One. Everybody hated it. That got
to be fair though, they did a really horrible job of explaining what they were going
100%. And then let's go back to Mixer. I mean, Mixer was a Twitch competitor.
Mixer was better than Twitch, actually.
And look, and they had their console set up. I mean, it was set ready for streaming, back before streaming really took off, the pandemic. To think if they still had Mixer during the pandemic.
Insane to drop Mixer when they did.
Yes, and because you got Kick that kicks up, and they're essentially running off from Twitch's back end, and that's their main competitor. Like, it's just crazy that they.
I actually didn't know that. I don't realize it was running on Twitch.
Yeah, it's Amazon's back end.
Back end, yeah.
I actually did not know that.
So they're losing money hand over fist on that one, just paying for that. I think we know where the money's coming from, but it's weird. I don't know why. It's decisions, that the Zune, they pivoted away from the Zune, and that was a great piece of hardware.
Most people back then said they liked the Zune more than the iPad or iPod rather at the time.
Yes.
I specifically remember people saying, "Why are they stopping?" Like, not the original one was terrible, but when they had the Zune Touch or whatever they called it, most people that I talked to liked that better than the iPod at the time. But again,
it didn't look great. They just trashed it.
They will
Internet was against it.
They just will not stick to anything. It's just it's either immediate success or boom, bounce off of it.
Yeah, and ironically, the only thing that they did two things that they trendsetted on that I'm glad that they were able to trendset on is Ethernet port. They were the first ones to put it in. That has become the de facto thing, and probably more importantly, making a console that lives and breathes without a game. The 360 was first.
Yeah, absolutely.
It becoming a hub that you could do stuff in your console without putting a game on, having it store, having it be a multimedia device and all that. They were the ones that set it up, because remember launch era PS3, that was half of that, and he never even.
The only thing you could do with it was Linux, which nobody did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even that was removed. That they even forced the achievements. I know you hate trophies and all that, but it's like they were.
I said the achievement system was a really good idea.
Their avatar system back in the day was so awesome. I mean, I was spending stupid amounts of money for my little avatar,
until they forced you in it. That was where it's like, oh, come on. It made you make one. I was like, get the hell out of here.
They killed the really good version of it, and then they brought back the abomination was it Xbox One, or did they bring it back with the series? Just like, we're bringing back avatars, and it was like, this is not what we had before. It was kind of sucks.
I think it was still in the 360 era, wasn't it? Because it was when Kinect came around.
Yeah. So it's really wild to think that there was an era where Xbox was that big a trendsetter, One like a Hail Mary with the Ethernet port, where they really read the future right with that one, and then making a console that now, like every console that we get is like built on the backbone of like of how they built the 360. So it's like I hate hearing that they were not capable of being like Turner, because they were. It's just that we were in an era where a lot of people were apologists for the leadership that they had, that kept like stepping on rakes, doing a bunch of stuff, and never having the fortitude and foresight to be like, hey, we need accountability here. Like there needs to be change. It's kind of like going back to like the Phil Spencer. I know, Rick, you've talked plenty of things about Phil Spencer.
Wait. That's coming up. That's coming up. Yes, save that for a minute. Okay. Do you guys have anything else specifically about this you wanted to say?
I don't believe it, but it's like wait and see to see.
That's fair. I mean, it's hard to believe. New leadership or not, it is hard to believe anything that Xbox tells you right
and now. It's hard to me to not think that they just put a yes woman in charge, especially be like, you bring someone that has no background in game, like literally already confirmed she has no background in gaming, in charge of your gaming division, and comes from AI, which it's all that Satya Nadella really cares about. It's like those things are like massive red flags that cast a pile like a sword of Damocles on top of all this.
This is true, except counterpoint on the first thing. Sarah Bond also had no background in gaming whatsoever. She was a CFO or COO for
T-Mobile, right?
Yeah. So she also had like the AI thing I hear, and the reality is that doesn't really resonate with me. But I do also hear the no gaming background thing, and I'm like, well, neither did Sarah Bond. Yet they fast tracked her up to where she was. I should say fast tracked. I mean, she was an executive elsewhere.
Yeah. But to be fair to Sarah, because like early on with Sarah, like when they were starting to put her like in the E3 2018, E3 2019 conferences, people liked, especially 2018 or 2018 more than 2019. It's just like you felt she was someone that got it. You felt like she was someone that like was saying the right things. She understood like what gamers wanted at the time. So at the very least, with no background, she got up to speed. So maybe we can give that to this new one in that same way, if we want to at least give benefits of the doubt. Coming from AI, that it's a completely different ballpark from gaming, it's like it makes me a little bit more dubious.
It's not in here. Was it on Pure Xbox?
I know she said that they don't want to do AI.
She said specifically, and I mean, again, I understand, grain of salt. I'm not saying I believe it at all either. Yeah. She did specifically say like our goal is not to just dump AI for everything, or to push AI for everything. So take with that what you will. I'm just saying she has said that. Like obviously,
but she did mentioning trends like the AI for monetization models or something like that.
I believe when she said that, it was in a discussion about monetization. I think that's why. Okay. I don't think I'm not saying she didn't say something about using AI for monetization systems, but they were talking, or it was an interview, or I don't know exactly what it was. But it was something about monetization, and that is when she said it's a creative thing, and we get that, and we don't want to take the human element out, and blah 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 blah. Right?
And I was impressed with that, but again, if you're PR trained, you know what the buzzwords are.
Oh, that's exactly right, and Microsoft most definitely PR trained their executives. Like that is very clear.
Yeah, I've worn cloud makeup enough with Microsoft that I will always not believe it until I see it. That's just how it is for me now.
And one other final thing, I have never seen a man who could fail up as much.
Yes,
that is
my word.
I'm going to put this out there. That is the corporate structure.
Yes.
That you fail as long as you know how to play the game. I say the game to be played. It's the same. You know how to regurgitate the buzzwords. You know how to be buddies with them on the golf course, and then you will go infinitely.
I didn't realize it actually wasn't this same thing. It's in this part. But go ahead, Alex. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that Matt Booty probably has a lot of dirt in the top C-suite of Microsoft. That
he's got somebody with a picture with a goat or something. That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
No, they're probably in the Epstein files.
Yeah, maybe that too. With a goat, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so she said, as monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short-term efficiency. So already I don't believe what she says, because that's exactly what Microsoft does. Yeah. Or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Games are and always will be art crafted by humans, created with the most innovative technology provided by us. I was just putting out there is what she said.
Yeah. Yeah. If she wasn't the AI person, I would have felt more like, oh, thank you for saying this. But it's like very hard for me to not think that you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth here. So again, until we start seeing like results, like I'll remain skeptical.
Be fair on her. I mean, a lot of this stuff I'm browsing, right? I'm skimming. I'm not like digging into the details, but somebody had gone through like her LinkedIn job history, and the AI was more fairly recent. I feel like
Yeah, it's for
within the
Microsoft,
last
I
few
think.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before that, it was like Instacart. Before that, I thought she was. Gosh, I can't remember all.
Yeah, I saw what the other one was too. And it's the cart COO and I forget the other one was.
But she had moved through the corporate structure and like kept hitting the next, like she was in tech side, if you will, kind of to a certain degree. And then like the AI seemed to be more of a recent thing. So I don't know if that's how she came in contact with Satya and that's how she got the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, the Satya has a hard on for AI right now. So
him and every other CEO,
be, so.
Every tech CEO.
Yep.
So the last part of this I thought we would cover, and we can all cover this in turn, is as a adieu, if you will. What was your take on the Phil Spencer regime of Xbox from the beginning to the end? Freight, you can go first. What did you think of his running of the Xbox division?
I'm conflicted. Really conflicted on that one. I will say I remember when he was announced, right? And he was the great white hope, if you will. You know, they brought him in and here's a gamer. He's one of us. You know, he's been there and the guy had the credentials to back it up. And this guy, he's very charismatic. You know what I mean? He knew, again, PR training. And I think also just a genuine guy who he was. He knew what to say. He knew what we wanted. He made a lot of promises. Now, how much of that was because of the back end? I will say, if you look at the results, not great. But I think of what we were, the hope that we felt the entire way. I mean, this man built a community, and he was charismatic enough to kind of hold it like this, to where Xbox up until the last 2 years, maybe, all the shit that had happened and all the shit we gone through, like it was still
at that point it became more like this.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. You know what I mean? And you can't do that unless you're, I don't know, it's maybe a cult, I guess. Maybe now we're looking at it and he was like Manson, you know what I mean?
That's a fair point to bring up, absolutely, for sure.
I don't know. Like it just, I'm very conflicted because it seemed like he had good ideas. He knew, and again, it could be just PR training, know what to say and not have anything to do with it. But I always felt like it was him running up against there was Microsoft's goals and there was what he wanted to do, and they were always at odds, and he could never find a way to get his goals done while still being able to accomplish what Microsoft wanted him to. He was not making the right sacrifices. He was not making the right overall decisions, which in the end ran him afoul more of what Microsoft wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Alex?
So I would say,
sorry,
in the end, not great.
Either
hold on, real quick, Alex. Give him a score. 1 through 10, 10 being best score, 1 being obviously Don Matrick. Whereabouts did you give him?
Man, he's got to be. There were some great years, though. Even though
from the whole thing, his whole leadership, his whole time period.
It's 2014 to 2026. That's like that's a period. So
from when he took over. It doesn't have to be when he got the title of CEO of Xbox. When he took over the Xbox division until today, when he announces his retirement, what would you give him?
My heart wants to say like an 8, but I think my head's going to probably put him more like a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Alex. What do you think?
Either you die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's what happened with Phil, because
that's actually a very good use of that term, to be honest, because it's about right.
Because like, if his period had ended in 2020, if his tenure was 2014 to 2020, he was probably an 8
legendary.
It's a legendary because he rescued the Xbox One. He brought back initiatives that became trendsetters that you see others do, like backwards compatibility. After we started that generation, no backwards compatibility because this hardware is completely different. They're not compatible and all that. He insisted to be like, we are a software company. Maybe we can figure something out. We need to do something. And lo and behold, like Xbox backwards compatibility, the best out of the big three. And even for Sony, like probably like to their benefit, that helped the inertia that helped carry to the PS5. Because remember, there was like no guarantee that there was going to be backwards compatibility on PS5. They were seeing a bunch. They were seeing a bunch of bullshit in the lead. I'd be like, oh yeah, there may be just 100 games, the 100 most popular games. And everyone was like, what about my entire library? And Xbox was like, no, everything from 2013, and that was there is just going to be there. So it's like he did all those great initiatives, and the initial idea of Game Pass was a good one because it was like, hey, subscriptions are happening. Here's a entry-level way to have like a collection of old games for people to catch up on the library. Cool. Then obviously they took the big swing of let's put first-party stuff launching day one in the service. That's how Sea of Thieves launched. And even though that was a rough launch, it was like it helped kick a lot of players into that game. And I remember the promise of like, man, look, Gears 5 is pretty great. If this is the kind of game that you get in Game Pass, they're actually pretty set for success here. So it's like the initiatives and the promise made that initial tenure be like, okay, they're set for success for what comes next. That should have been when he bowed out. Unfortunately, he stayed there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good assessment, I think, actually.
Yeah, because then he stayed in for like the next battle, trying to get everything. We were all very hopeful because it'd be like, okay, they've seemed like they're in fighting shape to kind of go toe to toe with a Sony that's getting a little too cocky at the end of the PS4 again, and
it was cockier.
Exactly. Yeah, it was more and more stumbles because the acquisition sprees started. To me, the biggest strike is you launched a new console without a first-party game. That's pretty calamitous. Let's just put it that way. That's like when you really think about it, it's like they launched with nothing. Like the Xbox literally launched with nothing.
Yeah,
like,
I guess technically the Gears 5 update was about all you really had.
Exactly, but it's not like a new release. It's like the plan was Halo Infinite was gonna launch on Xbox Series X to kind of like mirror the original Xbox launching with Halo. That missed. Because why? Because then we started learning that they had no great development culture there. Kind of like you were mentioning before with the like they like cutting corners. Like that's how we learned. Like everyone that works as a game developer in Microsoft, they're coming in as contractors for 18 months. Like they never like found a solution for that. That's why Halo Infinite was like such a mess of development because they kept losing people to the 18-month contract thing. So they had to bring in more people, learn the new engine and all that. It's like that comes from on top because like you know all that. And you should have put like the guardrails in place to get your development pipeline going. All the development has taken so damn long, from Fable to your first game you ever released, like you revealed for your console, which was Hellblade 2. Like that was the first game we ever saw for Series X. Comes out 5 years later, and it was like the same time.
It was like 4.5 hours long. Yeah.
It was like we got the Xbox Series X tech demo, the Rise Son of Rome, the Order 1886, like 5 years later. So it's like you start like adding all this, like all just kind of like little step breaks, and then of course him pushing for the big acquisition of ABK after they had already like acquired more.
That will be his scarlet letter for forever.
Yes, and I was through Discovery learning that was their big plan. Where it was like, no, we just want to gobble up everything. Remember his North Star, like the big career move.
They had every developer they wanted to acquire, which was almost everybody.
Exactly, like they wanted to, like his North Star was acquiring Nintendo, which is like which is funny. It's like the company that wanted to acquire Nintendo early on that got laughed out of the room. It's like you're gonna go in and we're gonna try to buy them again now that they're in a good spot. Like now that that's your North Star. It's like they really got too cocky that like Satya was like, I want to invest a little bit more in gaming. Even we're hearing things like Mr. Failing Upside, Matt Booty be like, we have all the money to spend Sony out of business. There's like those were the things that we're starting to hear from them. It's like I'm starting to hear all this stuff that is not congruent to what I want out of a great gaming company and someone that has no vision or great development acumen. That's what was happening.
On that same thing, you notice it was we can spend Sony out of business. It was not we can make better product than Sony to put them out of business. It was we can spend them out of business.
Exactly. We started to see like the focus. They lost the side of the ball of what we wanted out of them. And this is something that Colin said, and I do actually believe because they wanted to gobble everything. It's like, what is the identity of Xbox? Like,
there's none now. There's none.
There was none. And that was started when they were gobbling all of this up. And then eventually we got to that point where it's like, now there's no Xbox anymore because you overspent, you spent yourself out of business because now you have to you have to pay the piper. He got to that point, and all of that was things that he was pushing because he had a vision. Because his vision was, we're doubling down on Game Pass. We need to get more exclusive because people keep making fun of us that we barely have any first party. Because there was a point where they had no first party, So
Mhm.
they majorly overcompensated
Mhm.
doing that. But the problem is like, yeah, you overcompensated, but do you have the structure in place to handle all of this? And it was clear that they didn't. So it's like the last five, to circle back out, it's like everything that happened in the Series X era of Phil Spencer completely undid all the goodwill of how he saved Xbox One. Because it's like, I don't feel the leadership he had under him also worked, like did anything to inside confidence that he put the right people in the job. Like, why is Aaron Greenberg still there? Like,
That honestly, yeah. I can understand Matt Booty having a job more than I can understand Aaron Greenberg.
Exactly.
I genuinely can.
And what I understood why Matt Booty still kept the job is that they attribute the success of Minecraft to him. Microsoft.
Oh, really? Like, I actually didn't know that's what that was.
Yeah. So and something in regards to Forza Horizon, which Forza Horizon is like the only like legit bona fide success that they have critically and commercially. That's like people love Forza Horizon. I know you have issues with 5, but it's like they united.
It still was successful. I never argued that at all.
Exactly. It's like, and that's and look how successful it was when it migrated platforms. It's like that falls under Matt Booty. So it's like it's these things that we don't assume much are like what keep him in the job. It's just why is Aaron Greenberg still there? Because through him we start hearing all the contradictions. Remember, he was like, Hi-Fi Rush was a big success for us. And then we saw like those closings.
Yeah, like, Aaron was never in lockstep with whatever their existing message was. Never.
Yes. And I do feel like what completely undid like Phil Spencer's tenure was us publicly clearly seeing when Satya and Amy Hood took over. That now their entire plan has been like put upside down. Now they're trying to promote initiatives that are complete opposite to everything that they were saying why they were doing all these moves. Oh, we're acquiring Bethesda because what we want is to have great exclusive games for the platforms where Xbox exists. That was the thing that he said. That was why they were doing all these acquisitions. Then obviously with ABK, as you were saying, Fred, like, it's like the big FTC was like, you have to keep it all multi-platform. But initially it was like, okay, you're only going to keep Call of Duty because that was in your contract. And no point in that promise contract, said, "Oh yeah, all your entire thing is gonna go multi-platform."
Right. Like, Gears of War now needs to be on PlayStation, right?
Exactly. Right. So it's like that. So it's like you start seeing all of that, like the final years of his tenure, which, by the way, makes it even worse when he was then promoted as CEO. Because remember, he was just over Xbox, then he was like he rose up a notch. So
he was just like the head of Xbox for a while, and then then he got the title CEO of Xbox. Yeah, or CEO of gaming, I guess is what it was. Yeah.
So everything under his umbrella and all the contradictions and also us going through the era where they would never stop talking. They would talk out of their ass forever. And obviously, like that was brief PR wins to be like, look how open they are compared to Sony and Nintendo that don't say shit.
Right.
Yeah, but look,
I will counterpoint on that though, is that because they were so open, I think that's part of what kind of kept that core community to be their cheerleaders. That I was right up in there with it, you know. We were all in the Kool-Aid and we were all rah.
But that's the problem. But that's the problem because they have you drink the Kool-Aid, but then at the time to finally deliver, they kept missing. Right. They kept missing all their
and also I would argue, and I'm not talking all of them, right? There are definitely Xbox centric fans, groups, podcasts, whatever, that are good, right?
Yes.
But for all of those, you have probably 5 what Tim Dog was, right? Where they're out there fighting a war on your behalf, which contradicted directly with the message he claimed he wanted to have. And this is another thing about Aaron Greenberg. Aaron Greenberg 100% fell into that. Oh, yes. He 100% was the cause of that. Because he would amplify the worst voices in that community. Number one, because he didn't know how to do his job correctly. Because he didn't know how to actually market anything. So he let the community do it for him. I've mentioned it before, Alex. Hold the line, right?
Yeah.
We know where that came from, and it didn't come from Aaron Greenberg. It came from Iron Lords. Because King always said it, and suddenly Aaron Greenberg took it and used it as
genius, though. I mean, you got to think about it.
It is, but the difference is King wasn't getting paid to do it. Aaron Greenberg is getting paid probably 7 figures, and he can't do that.
What I'm saying is, it's genius those are the marketing tactics that they were able to get away with. You know what I mean?
That's guerrilla marketing.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
It's like I don't begrudge him for doing guerrilla marketing. To me, it's like what I resent is that they did all of that and they could never deliver for those fans, probably ever. And that's like really unfortunate because they emboldened and the emboldening of that fan base is what made all toxic discourse, like all the toxicity increase in online spaces because of that.
Console wars had basically gone away, and then it came
exactly.
back worse than it ever was.
Yes,
for a couple years there.
I will admit, I was an Xbox fanboy. I mean, that's
there's nothing wrong with that.
Until I jumped ship into the PC world, I have since I bought the 360 or no, the original Xbox. I have been Xbox through and through. That's where my friends were. That's where
I have had every Xbox platform, and all of them at launch except for the one because I refused to buy with the Kinect. The day it released without the Kinect, I went out and bought one.
Yeah, 2014. 2014. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Xbox record that. Xbox record that. Xbox play. Xbox volume down while I'm laying in bed watching Netflix. Let me tell you, we use it all the time now with Alexa, and we had it back then. I'm just saying
because they were ahead of the time in many ways.
And there's a difference there, Frank. Alexa is optional.
Okay,
the Kinect back then was not, and that was a problem.
Yeah. From a person who didn't have a PC, you know what you could also do with that? You could do what was their video chat software at the time? What was that?
Was it Skype?
Skype. You could Skype on the console.
Oh yes, I remember.
A camera, talk about Uno. Remember Uno?
Yeah. But that was the 360. The 360 era Uno was where it was called.
That's true. That was worse.
A real quick insert here. Funny little story. The first time I ever did a podcast thing, Luke on XEP used to do the community episode or whatever, and I did one the one time. And I made the mistake of telling him beforehand, because I didn't have a webcam. I used my Xbox 360 camera, that little white one.
Yeah.
He thought that was the funniest thing. And if you go back and watch it, like it looks all grainy and shitty because it was like I don't even know if it was 480p, man. That was a weak camera. But he thought it was the funniest thing ever and made me reveal that on the episode. Yeah. That's what I was using.
Yeah, my favorite thing about it, because we were talking Uno, like I love old Giant Bomb that we heard like this story from Brian Davis, RIP, where he said he was playing Uno. And one of the guys he was playing at, he was like snorting cocaine, like on video while they were playing Uno. It's like that was the era.
Hand to God, I had one of the. So my uncle used to be a really big gamer, right? He had the days of playing like Rainbow Six. He had his guys he played with, so he brought me in, and so it led into like I had this core group of guys that we played Call of Duty with every single night. 5 or 6 of us rolled deep, and one day one of them just straight up disappeared. Because he was playing Uno late at night and his wife found out he had a chick on the side that he was playing Uno after dark. Swear to God, I had to get rid of his Xbox.
That's amazing. Oh man,
that's so funny.
Those were the days, man. It's like I miss that.
It was a Wild West back then, but it was so fun. It was so fun back then. So Alex, if you had to give it a numerical score, a numerical score, what would you give him?
2014 to 2020, 9 out of 10. Add it all up, 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 is the whole
whole region, because the final years are like abysmal. Like it's such an abysmal
they really are.
To the excellent like lead up to that it's like you could have gone out and have everyone else just kind of take over.
Could have been Xbox royalty had he left in like 2020. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like he ensures that he goes out on a low point, and to me, it feels bad that now we know it's like he goes out with his tail between his legs because he got undercut by the top. Right. Like he had to pair it and had to like take on the chin, like the obvious like 180 that he had to pair things that were like that was not what you were saying when at the opposite of this thing. It's very obvious that you're being like puppeted around by like now the money people that are telling you to do all these things that go completely against everything that were great ideas that unfortunately just didn't pan out or panned out too late, because that's the brutal irony of seeing now 2025 and 2026, because like look how robust Game Pass like was if you were still in that service. It's like they had so many. That was the idea. It was born out way too late, and now at a point where it was super expensive, or why would it even be in Game Pass at this point instead of buying stuff, or unless you're on PC Game Pass, which is still it's still kind of like still scraped away, like still being cheap overall in their ultimate version. But it's like it's real unfortunate to see that all the great ideas got undercut by bad execution early on, and then all these moves that were meant for something but then just triggered the Eye of Sauron to where they are. And that's unfortunate, and that falls on them, because this is a result of their vision, and then the top people being like, yeah, we're taking over because we need money, because that was close to $70 billion. We need that ROI. So
I have a fairly complicated relationship here with Phil Spencer. Those who have interacted with me through Discord or wherever do know that I have been extremely critical of his leadership lately, and I stand by every word I've said about it. But I do want to be clear. I like you guys said, I actually fully agree. At first, I thought he did a great job. I really did. I thought leading the Xbox One, I'm like, no. Or the series consoles. I was like, they have the right guy. This guy knows what's going on. He has the right idea, even though, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Game Pass, but I'm like, that is their thing, and he's doing it right, blah, 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 blah. But like Alex said, he probably would have been the guy to have the idea, put it in place, and then let somebody else actually put it into effect. Because I don't think he did that right. I do think he's a genuine guy, which I'll give him credit on, because I don't think Jim Ryan was genuine at all. I think that guy was a complete fucking liar.
Fuck you and Jim Ryan.
Yep. I don't believe one fucking word that guy ever said.
And fuck Herman Holst. Like literally. But
I do think Phil Spencer genuinely believed a lot of what he said until to the point that there was no way that he did. But at least at first, I do believe he genuinely cared. Actually, I think he cared the whole way through, to be clear. But even at first, I think he genuinely thought that what he was saying was right. And for a while, I did too. I think he had some really good ideas. I think he absolutely inherited a disaster, right? There was no question what Don Matrick left him. I mean, Don Matrick didn't leave it for him, but what he inherited from Don Matrick was frankly not an easy thing to fix. And as you mentioned, he had all kind of, backwards compatibility and all that, which was all really good. I think he probably got too much freedom, which is where all this, okay. So I'm going to make a metaphor here. So he inherited a ship that was sinking very quickly, right? And I thought he did a pretty good job bailing the water out of the ship to keep it afloat, right? And then he started to get some forward momentum. And then maybe he got a little too much forward momentum, and now it's to the point I think he's driving it into a whirlpool, right? So he did a good job pulling it out of the mess that it was. He did a good job implementing new projects and systems and stuff like that. He did a pretty good job, I thought, launching the Series X. I know Cullen always likes to criticize that, but give credit to the PS5. I'm like, I'll be honest with you, if you remember back then, the Series X launched in a far better state than the PS5 did. It didn't take long for them to fix the PS5, but at launch, PS5 OS was a piece of shit.
Yeah, in the OS,
it was like 2 months, 3 months, and then they fixed it. But
it was the opposite. Like PS5 had the games, but the OS was shit. Like Xbox didn't have the games, but the system was like in a great spot.
Right. I remember all that mattered to me was Destiny was 60 at day one on Series X, and so I was good to go.
Yeah. One of the greatest launch games.
Yes, exactly.
That's all I played.
And so that's okay. So obviously, the catalyst to fixing Game Pass, or to fixing Xbox, was Game Pass, and that was good, right? And I mentioned this to you before, Freight. I think the problem was which is actually what made Game Pass so popular. I think the day one releases is what really signed the death warrant of not necessarily Xbox, but Phil Spencer's tenure, right? Like, maybe not so much at first, because at first he didn't have any day one releases to worry about. So you can say that all you want because there weren't any. When you got to the point there was them, and now you had to stick with that. Well, now you had to make more money somehow. This is where the acquisitions come in, right? Because you got to keep feeding this beast, right? So he does that. Then he buys ABK, and which was just a terrible idea. The best thing that could have happened to him was if ABK failed. Right. If the FTC had a leader that actually had a fucking idea what she was doing, and they actually managed to stop it. Honestly, that might have actually helped Xbox in the long run. It really might have. Maybe it wouldn't have seemed like that at first, but over time, it actually probably would have benefited them. But because he did that, now the eye of Sauron is on them, because now you just spent $70 billion. Well, that doesn't go unnoticed, right? Now he's got to start making money. But despite what a lot of people that we were discussing like to say for over and over again, clearly Game Pass wasn't making the money.
He just doesn't.
Anybody with even an even remote idea of how business works knows that was true. They could deny all they wanted. Everybody knew. Everybody that was being honest with himself knew it wasn't true. So now you had to do something. What was that something? Obviously, you go multi-platform. And it's not that I have an issue with multi-platform. I mean, it's just that I find exclusives are what gives a platform its identity, right? And when this happened, and then especially when you're losing your Halos and your Gears, right? Like those should have been frankly untouchable. Under no circumstances should they have ever released those on a PlayStation platform.
I would have been okay if the Bethesda and ABK stuff was the only thing that had to go out, because a lot of those franchises were already out there.
Right.
It could have stayed that way, and the Microsoft Game Studios thing would have been like the premiere. Okay, because this was exclusive originally, it remains exclusive. But no, the whole dam broke open.
Right.
Because they needed money.
And so, and that, as you mentioned, Alex, the continual fact that you just couldn't believe anything he said anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, did anybody truly listen to them say only 4 games and actually say, I genuinely believe that to be true?
Didn't they say to start? Didn't they say just 4 games to start?
Yeah.
Well, they may have.
It
was clear they were trying to say it's only 4 games, even though everybody knew that wasn't going to be the case. And I mean, obviously, they weren't referring to Call of Duty. We all knew that was going to come multi-platform, but it's like, and Todd, that's just not true. It's just not true.
The moment Sea of Thieves sold 1 million copies, like within a week on PS5, that was like, it's very obvious they will want to send everything out if there's that much hunger for such an old game, like to being in another system.
So like it just kept going downhill, and like we said, he had good ideas. He had a path for success, but he almost got in his own way. And so I guess if those first few years, like we said, great. No doubt he was a great leader up until the Series X launched. And then it really, really suffered after that point. I guess if I was to assign him a letter grade, I'd probably be, what did you say, Alex? You say a 6? That's about 6. Where I am. That's okay. Yeah. That's about where I am. Like, if it wasn't for those first 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was, I'd probably be more like a 4. But he does get a lot of credit for those first couple years where he did have a very difficult job and he did do a good job with it. Yeah. It's just once he got it out of the muck, if you will, the tires just spun. He didn't really take it anywhere.
Yeah. And to me, another thing why I went 6 instead of 7, because when we finally started getting actual games made under his tenure, after long development cycles and all that, not a single Xbox game besides Hi-Fi Rush and Forza Horizon, I would say, were worth any hype or were worth any like bells and whistles and kind of like praise. I feel like they proved that they just didn't have like a good eye for quality in a way compared to like everything else. Like no Game of the Year contenders.
This was something Colin always said, and he is right, is that Microsoft has never made anything worthwhile in their entire existence. They've either stolen it, copied it, bought it, or whatever. And that sounds a little harsh, and it is a little harsh, but it's not completely untrue. It is pretty much how Microsoft has risen to prominence. But so I don't want to be overly critical. I mean, obviously I've been making jokes, and actually it's not a joke when I had said I actually am looking at this change as a positive thing. At least I'm hoping to. I am hoping maybe new leadership, especially without Sarah not picking up. If Sarah was picking up the reins, and it's no hate to Sarah, we'd be in the same situation. Nothing was going to change. The fact that it's something completely devoid of Phil Spencer's group gives me hope that maybe somebody can go, okay, we need to take a big step back here and completely reevaluate how we're doing this.
The fact Aaron Greenberg and Matt Booty are still there is it's still half of the team that remain that remain in place with the extended era of mediocrity. So it's like, unless somehow Asia like completely whips them to shape and be like, suddenly there's quality, then be like, okay, so then Phil and Sarah were the problem there. Like all along.
And that could happen, right?
Yeah.
She could have, for Aaron, for example, be like, hey, I have yet to see you make any proper marketing. You got 1 month to give me a proper marketing ad. Or whatever, right? Yeah.
I will make 2 counterpoints to this.
Sure,
and it's going to go to why I am at least optimistic about the future. Number one is the AB Key deal, right? Like everybody says that was a bad thing. I think that it changed them as a company, but I think that it was needed at the time. If you remember, if you go back during that time, during the COVID era, everybody and their mom was buying studios left and right. I mean,
Sure.
Sony bought Bungie, and even Microsoft looked at Bungie,
which was
and said,
a way worse acquisition.
we're not going to touch that. And
Right.
Embracer was buying up studios left and right to the point to where, I mean, look at the wreckage of what's left over after they imploded.
Yeah.
So they looked at it as an opportunity of, we can buy some IP that we're not going to be locked out of and get money handed out of. But I think that what that led to was, now your company is too big. Now you're going from Phil Spencer, who only maybe had to every once in a while type up a report of like, here's a status report of where we are with Xbox, and now he's making pitches to probably the board. Now he's having to speak to shareholders, and maybe that was never in Phil's wheelhouse, and that was where it all went south. Now you're bringing in somebody who has that experience. My second counterpoint is where you guys bring up with Booty and Greenberg is, could you imagine what the stock prices would do if all of them left day one?
Yeah. You probably can't just nuke your entire C-suite.
That would just tank it, and then you got to give it time, because I mean, and then you would, how many people would jump ship because like, oh man, what's happening here? Like, this is not good. I gotta go, and then you start losing some of the actually talented people like Jason Ronald over there. Then
which we know is still there. We just know Jason Ronald is still in place. So
you start losing people like him. Then what?
I don't actually even know what his is. I know he's like the architect, but I don't know what his actual title is at Microsoft.
Yeah, he's like a
wizard.
He's like a hardware wizard, something. With a great beard. I took a picture with him, back at Summer Game Fest.
So. The backwards compatibility. That was all of him, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was a lot of people who works with
the Xbox in general is him. He is the Mark Cerny of Xbox, basically.
Yeah. So, like, I think that's where we can look at to be optimistic. We have to look at this one or two ways. One, this is going to be it's somebody who can handle the boardroom as well as handle a company of this size, to where there's a lot more moving pieces. It takes a different type of personality, and it's a different way of looking at everything. You can't be as involved quite in the minutia. You have to be able to. It's just a different skill set that maybe Phil didn't have.
Yeah, I can imagine they're using both Greenberg and whatchamacallit and Booty as kind of like probationary, like intermediary, like positions right now, where it's like, okay, we got the new person, you got your underlings, do what, at least see what you can do with this transition, see if you want to keep them or if you want to transition. But kind of like you're saying, like they need kind of like at least something in between before she has to put in maybe where she wants, or they end up doing a good job with a different oversighter. Right. So I can kind of see that,
because she has to look at the whole big picture, all the moving pieces. I mean, every once in a while you peek in, you want to make sure you, as my grandpa has been in business for like 76 years, family-owned business. And his number one thing he always says, trust but verify. Hire the people underneath you. You train them up. You get them to do their job. You trust them to do their job. But every once in a while, you got to go through and verify that they're actually doing the job. Yeah. And that's, I just, maybe that's what she's going to do. Or she got her job because she's
an AI
Satya, and it's just gonna be tank it down. Hey, at least then it'll be done really quick. It'll be done really quick. We're done with it.
The band-aid is just getting torn off real quick.
It's not gonna be a slow death. We're gonna take her out back. We're gonna like, oh, look at that sunset. Don't see this. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, but I am genuinely hopeful. I'm not saying. I had said optimistic. Optimistic is not the right word because I know nothing about this girl, so I have no idea, right? But I am genuinely hopeful that, like, for some reason, people think I hate Xbox. That couldn't be further from the truth. I love Xbox. I just hate the direction that they've gone the last, 4 years. And, I'm hoping, it's probably craziness, but I'm hoping maybe this is the push back in the direction that I want them to go so that they can start being, what's that?
Silkenet.
I think that's what happened to Phil.
I'm hoping that maybe this will lead just a complete course correction back to where they kind of lost their way. And it's like, okay, we have all these things in place that are good that we need, but this is where we diverted. Let's get back over there. Let's use what we have, but we need to start focusing on the actual hardware again. We need to not pretend like it doesn't matter, because it matters. If you have an Xbox and it's an Xbox, not the name Xbox, an Xbox, it has to matter, right? It can't just be an afterthought because, well, you can play it on your phone or your PS5 or your PC. At that point, you don't have the Xbox. So, and what she says there, even though it could be complete bullshit, does give me maybe hope that they might be like, hey, we probably got to focus on the actual device a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, how much do you think they're going to pivot away from what they've already said?
Well, I don't think they can pivot too much because the things, like I said, it's it's got to be in production already, so you can't change too much of it.
It really is interesting that, wasn't it a month ago at CES we saw the video with Sarah Bond and the AMD person, or recent, that they were both on B2B
when they were at the farm or whatever, like the CPU farm or whatever it was. Is that what you're talking
it
about?
was something that was saying that they were like ready to partner for their next generation of hardware and things like that.
Oh yeah,
that's that happened it just recently. So that's
do we still see that coming within the next year or two, though, or do we? I think it's even further out.
Yeah, now that we know that Nintendo and PlayStation are like heavily considering like what the AI shortage of like RAM is doing, that it's like the next PlayStation is now either 2028 or, God hope, in 2029. It's like, I don't think, I would hope that Xbox would be like not stupid enough to be like, this is not the time for you to launch a new hardware with like,
it's good to get ahead, but maybe not by 4 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not in this environment right now.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and at that price.
Exactly. That's
Right.
the key right there. And I think that the xCloud's going to be the saving grace on that one for a little bit, but the price of everything right now is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, at the very least, I would hope that at least like if these forced delays happen, it at least helps this generation recover the years that they lost, because like a lot of people still don't feel that like we're in year 6 of the generation. Still feels like we're in year 3 because we lost like 3 years.
Feels like 1.5 to me, but yeah,
exactly,
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like I feel this could be like a blessing in disguise. So,
well, actually, Todd just said something that I don't know why I didn't think of this. Make no mistake, well, they got a lot of grief for it. The PS5 Pro ended up being a brilliant idea by Sony. Not because of the reasons why they intended it to be, but because of how things worked out. The PS5 Pro actually made a big difference for this generation.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be smart, though.
Right.
So,
that's exactly. They now don't get me wrong. Like I liked it from day one, and this was before all this bullshit that we got going on happened now. But like, they actually lucked into this thing being even more valuable to the PlayStation ecosystem, if you will, than what they had originally planned. I think because of all this AI stuff or all this RAM stuff.
And the PS5 in particular right now, like I think I read it online. It's like the PS5 generation is probably the most identity-less PlayStation generation we've ever had because of all the like bullshit that's happened. And this could potentially, like, if this delays it, it gives it the final few years to try to find that identity, or at least solidify an identity that could be recovered because of all the pivots that have been happening with the new leadership that took over with Hideaki Nishino, which I even said it last week. Like last week's State of Play was like, are we finally like in this new era where you have someone at the top, not just Herman Holtz, because he reports to this guy, there's like where they start getting it, because like we always make fun of it. State of Plays are always and this last State of Play was also pretty good. So it's like, okay, it's like
we actually, before you got here, we were actually we didn't recap it as much as we kind of went over our opinions of it a week later, and we kind of both agreed on more or less what you just said too.
Exactly. So it's like maybe like that's going to be like a blessing in disguise to finally give a full cycle that still doesn't feel like has had a full cycle because of the long dev times, canceled projects, and all of that. And even for Xbox in a way, because like now their eggs are hatching. They're still not hatching as big award winners, but it's like the games are finally out. Like Xbox, that's the irony. It's like the games are finally out. It's just that,
and even if they're not releasing 95 Metacritics, they're still hitting it like a solid like 80. So they're still good. They're just not Game of the Year candidates.
And that's the irony. Like if the original plan was to have that many games at once, I think 80 is good enough.
Sure, absolutely.
Like, it really is, because because you're going for quality that's actually good enough, and you keep getting fed instead of having to drop your 90 once every 18 months.
Right, exactly.
That's it. Worst generation ever. I've been saying it.
You're finally coming around to my line of thinking, huh? Because you kind of fought me on that for a while.
Because that's the thing. Like it's like now I realized that this is the generation where the vibes that I had towards these two platform holders are the worst that I've ever had.
Yeah.
The problem is that one side of that fence is still having so much success, and I'm playing more games than ever. So it's like I look at this generation where my enjoyment is from the agnosticism of just treating these machines as just PCs where I'm literally playing everything. And obviously, Fred, you're now a PC gamer. Like I look at it more like that, but from the old way of thinking of like you were in an ecosystem for a defined identity and all of that. I don't feel very strongly about either of them because I always feel like I'm getting pissed at them at some point or another.
Yeah.
At any moment, like yesterday, I was fuming with the Blue Point thing, and of course, the next one's have to be like, hold my beer.
Yeah. Like I said, Sony shoot themselves in the foot. Microsoft get out the shotgun and blow off their leg. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like it really is like the most unenthusiastic generation that I felt because I feel like I can't get hyped at any moment. I let myself get hyped last week with the state of play. Look where we are now, where we lost Blue Point. It's like, it
is amazing that 1 week after people going like, wow, Sony actually, like largely people said Sony finally had a pretty killer show. 1 week later, we have this happen. 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and now they can't even promote Marathon because like everyone was be like, "Why do you close Blue Point?" They'd be like, people showing we've refunded our pre-order of Marathon. Now like, fuck you, Sony, and all that. It's like it's always like step rate, like rake stepping on all of them. It just sucks that in one side, like it's catastrophic rake stepping, whereas in the other side they can step on every rake possible, but it doesn't matter because they're de facto winner. And I hate that because it's like
so do I. It drives me crazy.
GameCube's coming in, and it's going to be saying, "Hey, we're the new." No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the pricing is not going to be there.
If the pricing had been there, I would have been like, "Yes, finally, we need that third competitor," because I cannot let a Sony just like walk by like completely unscathed. And I keep saying it. Look how much like the new CEO cares about Japan now. Like the new CEO for PlayStation, that they made it Japan only state of play because they wanted to release a cheaper PS5 because they were getting creamed by Nintendo in their home territory. Because they're finally losing like market share. It's like, who would have thought Nintendo would have ever had Resident Evil marketing?
Because their entire direction for the last 7 years has been completely wrong.
And
now
it's
7 years,
So it's like, at least from under Nishina, I'm like, okay, I'm slowly seeing a turnaround of like
he's at least trying to get it back on track. I will say that. Like,
yes,
like, even though I'm the same way. I do nothing but bitch about Sony. Yeah. I do at least see them slightly course correcting. Mm-hmm. Will they fully commit to it? We'll see. But the early signs of them going back the direction they should are at least there. I'll say that.
At least we know that we will never expect showcases from them because it's like, why was last week's State of Play not a showcase? It was as long as the last showcase they had in 2023. So it's like, say goodbye to showcase. We're State of Play, and now we know they can get there. So
although unlike that last showcase, which was we were talking about that earlier, that showcase was really pretty bad. This one was actually quite good. Yes.
Exactly. That's kind of like the irony, but that was always the problem, that they kept doing State of Plays after that, but everyone was like, so when's the next showcase, Sony? And they kept doing State of Plays, and I kept saying, look how they're presenting, where they're actually putting people, because remember who was just the disembodied voice, and here's a new game from certain developer, and here's the trailer and all of that. Is like, these are working like showcases, but people were not treating them like that. Now I think people finally got the memo. It's like, no, this is it now. So, and that can be pretty good.
One thing I will say is I do hope that Sony sees a positive reaction to this and goes, okay, this works. Let's do this. Let's do this a little more often, 2, 3 of them a year, whatever, instead of just being silent for 2.5 years at a time, right?
Yes. And fire Herman Holtz, please. Fire Herman Holtz at this point.
Let's structure them like this. Let's have them be, have this much stuff. Let's partner with our people instead of showing Concord for fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah. Drake, think about it this way. Like, how much Herman Holtz has lost power that the way they revealed their Horizon project was literally a random drop of a trailer, and
oh my gosh,
no mention whatsoever at that State of Play.
It was the same day as the State of Play too, wasn't it? Or the day after, or whatever.
It was the week before. The week
before. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at where would you put it in the showcase?
Yeah.
What would you take out to put it in there?
Exactly. Unless you like bolted on top of that, and they would have added negativity, because we know how people feel both about the overexposure of Horizon, because Herman Holtz can't help but industry plant every freaking Horizon like version and not another franchise, because that's the only thing.
And I'll be honest, game's kind of meh as far as their IP.
No, it's not.
I personally,
I love Horizon.
House is up here. I'll put Last of Us up here.
Do we need 2 live service games of it? That's ridiculous. I totally agree. This one should not exist. Like, it should just be, or else the other one should. Whichever way you want to do it. That said, I do remember when Paul said something about that it looks better, and that's fucking mind-boggling to me, because I think this game is ugly as sin.
But keep in mind, he loves cartoon. He's an artist. He always.
I like cartoony too. So. I cannot think of a single thing on Earth that looks better with Fortnite's art style. I cannot think of one thing on Earth. But that's the whole point.
It could be-
Other point.
But then they could probably still put it on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't think it is though.
I think it's just on PS5. And
Is it really?
I don't think it's in PC.
It might be a mobile game
PC
too,
though, that drops the requirements, that opens the amount of people that you can sell to that can play it.
Yeah, with a low
that's
spec, with
a smart move.
Low spec PC. That's why you use that art style.
What you want in a multiplayer game, you want player health. You want people playing your game. So if you're not going to give it away for free, at least make it available to the most amount of people possible.
But my point, to get back to it, was: do we need both of them? And why is one of them not even on the PlayStation?
Exactly.
Which is a fucking bizarre ass decision.
Or do we need that much Horizon? Where it's like we got the 2 mainline games, we got the Lego game, we got the VR game, we got the two multiplayer games. It's like they've so overexposed Horizon that it's making people.
I do not disagree with that. Even if someone who loves Horizon, I do not disagree with that.
Yeah,
doesn't Lego one have like a mostly negative rating on Steam right now?
I think so. I think it is, and it says like a 70 Metacritic also, so it's not even like that great either.
Which one?
Lego Horizon. It's just
I think it's why they give it away on Plus
and PS Plus recently. So it's like, because it's so overexposed. Like I would feel different because I like Horizon, but I prefer other franchises from Sony. But I still like that series. I prefer the first game over the second one. But like seeing it and knowing who's been manning the ship and seeing the preferential treatment.
Yeah,
it makes it easier to be more respectful.
It puts some question marks on it for sure.
Exactly. So it's like that's why I do find it funny that the latest Horizon game had its own like random drop, literally an hour after the third-party Nintendo Direct that people thought was.
That's what it was. I was gonna say I know it was around something. That's what it was.
Yeah, because like that Nintendo Direct happened, and then literally Sony was like, "Oh, here's the multiplayer Horizon game."
Which is also weird because clearly the Nintendo Direct would well overshadow it. Like even if this Horizon game looked absolutely mind-boggling, that Nintendo Direct is going to completely overshadow this. It was such a weird decision to do.
But that's the thing. Like that fits the Horizon MO.
Yeah,
they always get overshadowed no matter what they do. It
does so well, though. It does so well.
That's kind of the irony.
People, for some reason, pretend it does not sell, but it absolutely does.
Horizon is the avatar of gaming.
Right. Like those numbers, they take all this in the equation. Lego Horizon is what didn't sell. Horizon
VR didn't sell.
The VR one didn't sell because it's a VR game. Like the other 2.5, 3, if you want to call it that, releases have done quite well. All of them. So
especially the first game. And the first game in particular sold incredibly well.
Yep.
And it makes sense because it's like the IP intrigue and the fact that they bundled it. You could always, all of my friends that bought late PS4s had Horizon. They all hated it, but they had it because it was bundled with. Look,
I will tell you, I'm a guy that just came to all these IPs in the last year or two
because of the PC versions, right?
Because of PC, yes, and. I mean, I bought the base one. Then I was halfway through my playthrough, and I bought the remastered upgrade for it, the whole shebang. So they got me twice.
Yeah, did the save carry over from your
yes,
original? That's awesome.
Thankfully, yes. I was worried about that. I was like backing up saves
for the regular remastered. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, because he was playing the original PC version from 2020, and then the remaster happened, and he could transfer his save over because he didn't.
Yeah,
in the middle of it, which was awesome.
Yeah, it does on PS5 as well.
And to be fair, I have to give credit where credit is due. You can look at that original PC version and the remaster, and you can tell that they put work, especially in the faces. It's like that is not just
a difference.
It's not a file save.
There was a lot of work done on that. Yeah, for sure.
That's like
even
the one
remaster. File
size
alone.
Yes, and that's the one remaster that I will always like defend more from that perspective. It's like it wasn't just a quick. Because some people are like, it's the same game. I'm like, no, it isn't. Just look at both. Look at both, so you can see that that Nix has actually put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
So
and I'm coming from a guy that literally went from one right to the other, like back to back, and it was a huge difference.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking you meant the first game to the second game. I was going to say, I can see maybe why you didn't like it then. You're probably a little worn out by it. But never mind. I see what you're saying.
I have the second game on standby. I kind of want to give it space
wait it out
after the first one.
Wait it out.
If you go straight from one into the other, I can see you getting burned out on it very fast because there's a lot of time between those two, especially the second one. The second one's really long.
Yes,
really.
It's big. Yes.
So, well, I mean, it's not like it's longer; it's that it's bigger.
It's
but actually, I would say maybe the main story is maybe even a hair shorter than the first ones. But you
have to do a bunch of more stuff in between. I would say, and then the story is not as compelling like as the original for me. But there's intrigue and stuff like to the sides on the second game.
I like the world of Forbidden West much better.
That's why I say it's
but I agree. Like the whole backstory as to what was going on. I like the story of Forbidden West, but I like the story of Zero Dawn much better for sure.
And I will give this story was good.
Story was awesome. I love the story.
In your first step up moment when you saw those
it's really cool.
You were like, this is awesome. But then I'm like 10 hours in and I'm like, I'm golden pathing it. I'm like, I don't care. This is just annoying. Get to the next story beat. Let's keep going.
I'll bet you it's a little bit different for you in Forbidden West, because Forbidden West does do a lot more with its world than what Zero Dawn did.
Yeah.
But in particular, like it does the towns infinitely better than what Zero Dawn
did. It does side quests better.
It does side quests much better.
Even like the conversation, because there was like a clear graphical divide between main story and the side quests. Like you could see like in the facial animations, they tightened that up in Forbidden West. Where like when you're doing side stuff, it feels like you're still doing main story stuff. It's like from presentation standpoint, Forbidden West is still pretty good. It's just like the main story loses the plot a little bit and ends very cliffhangery too. So,
that is true. I mean, to be fair, so did the first one, but the second one is much more so. I do agree with that.
Yeah, the first one is a little bit more satisfying that it resolves the main Aloy
story. Yeah, but it leaves the overarching story open. Whereas this does end with a like, hey, this is happening.
So blatant that it's like it's so damn unsatisfying.
Yeah,
it's like it's so.
I cannot even argue with that, because that is pretty true, actually.
Yeah, it's very sequel bait in that way. And now that we have to wait much longer because of Guerrilla,
and that's another thing I was going to say that makes me so pissed off about this Hunter's Gatherer. Like, why didn't you at least make the third one first instead of making that?
Exactly. So, but again, you probably know when this was greenlit.
Yeah, or at least under whose leadership it was. Yeah,
exactly. Right. And the only reason that it survived is because of the industry planting preference.
Yeah.
I mean, it sales too. Let's be honest. The sales do show it's an IP that I guess just throw it on everything.
Yeah, when that chart came out, what was it, about 6 months ago, Alex?
32 million.
Yeah, and like obviously Gran Turismo was a million miles ahead of everything else we knew it was going to be. But like, it was not that much less than like God of War, which also had
5 games.
Yeah, more than that, actually.
Yes, 7 games, actually.
7 games, yeah. And God of War is an enormous IP, right? So it's like, okay, it goes to show you that this is not, I thought, you know what? It did have Gran Turismo on it, that's why.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because Gran Turismo even well eclipses God of War.
Oh, yes. Gran Turismo was like...
Gran Turismo was a juggernaut. But yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. God of War was the biggest one that showed.
And then Uncharted and Last of Us are also like right behind it too.
Right, but they've also been around a lot longer. Well, I guess one of them's been around a lot longer. Yeah. But anyway, it does go to show you, as much as everyone likes to bitch about it, it's like that's why they like it, because it does sell.
No, why did they go live service of Horizon? You know, that's what's really surprising.
I think it's because everyone went live service. Like we were gonna have a live service Last of Us. That they at the end were like, oh shoot, if we launched it.
But that was one people actually were looking forward to. So
exactly, that's kind of like the irony.
Yeah.
I think it was Naughty Dog kind of like, oh wait, we got to do what? What do we have to do with that? Yeah, no, we're good.
To me, such BS. You didn't know that when you were making that.
Yeah,
I don't believe that for a second.
Actually, I do, because you know how many live service games come out and you're waiting for the super long drought for a pipeline for anything to come out afterwards, because they're like, oh, we didn't know it was going to do anything, and we didn't know what it was going to take, and then they come in like 6 months later and they go under because why? There was no content pipeline.
Well, but this was one area where actually I thought Colin was spot on when he said it. When he said, like, why does everything have to last forever? Why couldn't it just come out and be like, hey, we commit to 18 months to 24 months of support on this. After that, it'll just be, patches and whatever. But, we'll commit to X amount of new maps, whatever. And then that's what that is what it is. It's like, that's basically what they did with, what they do with The Last of Us remastered, the first ones, multiplayer. It's like they eventually did stop making stuff, but people still kept playing it because they didn't need more. They just had what they wanted. Why couldn't they do that?
It was a fun game. It's like, but we cannot just have fun multiplayer. It's like, it's all about engagement. By the way, Todd put the sales copies of the PC, because I remember Helldivers 2 sold a shit ton more on PC than it did on PS5. So you can read those there. So.
Todd, I actually don't know where you got those numbers, but I can tell you right now that's not correct for Horizon.
Yeah, those are PC, just PC.
Oh, PC. Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say because the Horizon series has sold something like 40 million copies, so that's definitely not correct. But okay, if it's PC, I can believe that.
Zero Dawn is like 25 million alone. Just Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn sold a ton. even though a lot of those
Yeah.
were bundled in.
Yeah, he's at Steam nuts. That's even just Steam. Yeah, okay, that I can believe. But there you go. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, 4.5 million copies on Steam, which would have been what 4 years after it came out on PS4.
I had 3 years. 3 years.
3 years. Okay, I can't remember when it came out. Either way, so that's pretty darn good numbers for something like that.
And to be fair, that was one of the first PC ports too.
I believe
that
it was
the original,
wasn't it? I think it was
the first one. It was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought God of War came first.
In fact, like the order that he put them on is the order that it came from. That they came in.
Oh yeah, that does make sense. It is.
Yeah, Zero Dawn was first, then God of War, then Days Gone. The fact that Days Gone sold more than Spider-Man is really interesting.
I was just looking at that. That's really low numbers for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I do feel that one of the best selling games ever.
It's such a great game too. I mean, I as much as people clowned on it on Spider-Man 2, I just out of the blue I went into it the other day. I hadn't played it yet after playing Remastered and Miles. I had the biggest smile on my face with that opening, like playing just the web swinging alone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
You say the second one?
Yeah. Yes.
The second one is overly hated, but it is the worst of the 3.
Yeah, it's my least favorite, but it's still a really good.
It's still good. Yeah.
Just to be in the world.
It's got horrendous pacing. That's kind of its biggest problem.
Yeah, especially early on, because it starts so incredible with Sandman, and then
and then nothing happens for the next like 50% of the game.
Yeah.
I basically just got done with Sandman, and all of a sudden Neo 3 came out, and that's my mind.
Okay, that's why you're that's why you're because you just played like this.
It goes like this.
And then,
and then it kind of gets back up to about there.
Like this. Wait until you get through social justice, the side quest. Wait till you get through riding a bike. Wait till you get through all of that.
I will say, I actually didn't mind the bike thing, but you're right about the other stuff.
But then it's good again. But it takes a while.
I've always said I actually like that they emphasize being Peter Parker in this as opposed to Spider-Man. But it's like that said, that doesn't mean I want 50% of the game to be Peter Parker. I want like 15% to be Peter Parker and like most of it to be or Miles, however you want to put it.
They front load the now hated Sony walk and talks too early in that game.
Right.
But then like the second half of that game is like pretty it races to the finish. So
and then now this might be a personal thing, but I hate how they effectively made Peter and Miles exactly the same in combat. Yeah. I liked how they were different before, and I hated how they basically made them identical. Well, we really got sidetracked there, but
so that's especially the show. That's what it is. The beauty of it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say about anything?
Just the bomb for the 2 platform holders because they can't seem to do anything right. Even when they
two big thumbs down on both of them for sure.
Yeah,
4 down booms.
Unfortunately, it sucks. It's a horrible time to try and jump ship right now. That's why thank goodness I did back in 2024.
Yeah, I'm still
ever made.
Yeah, I'm still like because of my library, I'm still sticking with my PS5. Like that's kind of like what I said. It's like the hardware's great. I enjoy playing the games and all that. It's like all the games come out there, so I have fun doing that. It's just I don't have the enthusiasm I used to have that I was in this ecosystem for specific things. I barely get them, and then by the time they come out, they just kind of come and go because like they barely gave me any reason to be excited about it. I'll be excited for Metal Gear. For sure in August.
Well, that's what we were saying earlier. It's like the biggest. There was a lot that excited me in that show, but the most excitement for me was by far the fact that I could play Metal Gear Solid 4 again. By far, nothing else was even close.
It was. Especially again, I'm gonna reiterate this. This is. Rick came in like, I don't even know why I'm here right now. I'm just gonna I have the Olympics over here. I guess I'll just kind of keep an eye on it over here in the corner.
Dude, that show had so much for like they opened with Kena. I love Kena Breach of Spirits.
I was like, wow, that was a genuine surprise.
Yeah, I was not expecting a sequel because they had been like quiet for so long. A John Wick game
which was awesome. I forgot about that.
Cool. Because the Metal Gear stuff like excited me because like yes, finally the entire series finally available on one platform, and then they showed a motion twin Castlevania. I'm like, wow, it's like what a great like pair up over here. The God of War trilogy like being remade, that was so cool. At the time, the shadow drop for Sons of Sparta was really cool because like when I was now that I played it, I've cooled off a little bit on that. It's like I see why
I bought it and haven't even played it yet, but I will eventually. Though.
It's cool. It's a 7. It's a very 7 out of 10 game.
It should not be $30. I'll go with that. It should have been 20.
Yeah, 20.
$30 was a little steep for that, but
20 would have been better.
The biggest weirdest thing about the whole entire thing is like Sony's aversion. Like they're allergic to say the word PC. So
Yeah.
I was one of those people that as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, everything must be PC. So I jumped on to Steam and like, wait, where's it at? Like, what?
There.
What? Yeah. Which, I mean, looking at it now, I guess, thank goodness it wasn't.
I
I would
mean,
have bought it and I would have been a
they
little
showed
disappointed. But
Marathon, Todd. Marathon would technically qualify.
Marathon is first party. Saros is first party.
Saros, yeah. So I don't know if
and,
something else.
And then there's the For Loop because remember, PlayStation Studios is a mix of second and first party. So that was kind of like there was a healthy mix of that because.
Oh, and actually, not to cut you off, I think they actually sold me on Saros. Because every criticism I had, they seem to address in that. I'm like, okay.
The permanent progression, right?
Well, it's not so much the permanent progression. It's the fact that you don't have to fucking walk through a previous location.
Yes.
Finish it now.
Yes.
That drove me insane. That drove me insane. Like, if I finish the first section, I have to just hope that if I die, I have to hope that when I respawn, it gives me a teleporter at the beginning as opposed to the end of the map. That was terrible design. That was terrible.
Yeah, Todd. Technically, that God of War game is full on pixel art. It's the same pixel art that you see in Blasphemous.
Yeah, it's not a 2.5D game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can see that. It's like remember, it's like when it's first party, you'll see stuff that has been like teased before, and obviously Wolverine is gonna get its new look in March.
Yeah,
because it's spring.
We'll probably see that one closer.
Yeah, they said spring. The spring they're doing a state of play for it.
Okay.
So for like the big, let us sell you on this, and then we might see Corey Barlog's new game in in whichever state of play happens later. So
Christopher Judge said later summer or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I just want to point something out. It's very funny that it's coming from Christopher Judge because it's almost like he was like, hey guys, don't forget about me as God of War. Like, because everybody was excited about the new God of War actor and the old God of War. He's like, wait, I'm still here, guys. I'm not done. I'm still here doing it. Don't forget about me.
And he specifically mentioned it's not a God of War project. Like whenever, because do you see that thing that someone?
No, he did not actually.
Yeah.
Like people think they're reading between the words that it actually still might be Egypt, I guess.
The Egypt God of War, because there's like the rumor that it's like, because remember, there's Eric Williams who directed God of War Ragnarok. He said that he's okay being the God of War guy. And we knew that Cory Barlog was already working on something. Maybe Eric took on the next God of War immediately after Ragnarok. I would hope not, because I prefer 2018 over Ragnarok myself, but I know Rick prefers Ragnarok. So
well, I mean, they're not that different.
I just prefer the pace of the other one, the story a little bit more. Because
I'll tell you exactly what he said. Hold on a second. Is it this one? No, sorry, not this one.
Because he tweeted like a correction because of that video going like viral.
Well, because somebody also was pretty freaking sleazy and recorded him talking to somebody.
Don't do that.
That's very scummy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like because
people looking for internet points and
and they can get into big trouble because of like NDA and stuff, and NDAs and stuff. That's how you can get them in trouble. That's right.
Kratos voice actor makes statement after soon spilling God of War plans. Let me be crystal clear. I have zero involvement with the original games and what they involve. This is referring to the remakes. Full stop. Full stop. As much as I would love that everything I do in the future would involve Santa Monica Studio and God of War, I have other projects that I am super excited about. More info this summer. So he tried to deflect, but he definitely did not say this is not God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying there is interpretation left open to say that maybe it is, and he was trying to deflect a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, Todd. It is very much a 2D pixel art game, like I don't know, like an old Metroid game.
Yeah, and Legacy of Kain was never pixel art. I don't know.
I mean, it looked like I guess
the original Legacy of like Blood Omen 1 maybe was, but that was about it.
Yeah. Like way
everything after that was 3D.
Because remember, we saw a Legacy of Kain game at the state of play also, like that new remaster.
Yeah, the Defiance, the remaster of Defiance.
Mm-hmm. It's cool that franchise is.
Oh, he's right. They didn't show that at the state of play. But I guess after the fact, they did announce that there was a new Legacy of Game. Like
that's pixel art. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I actually didn't realize it was pixel art though. But I knew it was a 2D game.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's why I was just thinking. I was like, yeah, because I've been playing God of War.
Yeah, it was really weird they didn't announce that alongside with that remaster, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So.
I guess someone else had dibs, or they ran out of
I guess.
Hey, or like they couldn't. Yeah. they couldn't get the favor from Jeff Keighley to put their
right.
their 10-cent back game in the coveted spot. Man, this whole high guard thing, like you guys have not talked about that, right? I don't think we need to talk about it.
No, but I think everybody knows about it at this point. Yeah, that's Did it end up being fully funded by Tencent and all that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Why? Like, how did the studio out of nowhere had all that funding to be in LA and have and throw this insane preview event that people say is one of the most insane preview events that everyone's been a part of.
Right, and that's fine, but you need to be upfront about that. You can't hide that. They make people think it's an indie.
Probably why they were afraid to do it is they were under so much scrutiny already. So then you throw that into it, and you might as well just call it quits right then.
Yeah, the reality is Jeff Keighley was trying to help it, and he did nothing. He cut the legs off. He cut the legs off of that game.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it would have succeeded either way, but it would not have failed as badly as it did. Yes, thank you, Todd. Legacy of Kain Ascendance.
Ascendance, the one. Thank you. I'm gonna check on that because I love pixel art. But I think what's worse is that Tencent, and especially through Level Infinite, is all over Jeff Keighley's shows. So the fact that this was also funded by Tencent, now seeing how much Jeff Keighley was like really pushing it, it's like makes me a little bit more sus about like your intentions now of pushing so hard for this game that literally was like got this close to being conquered with those player numbers.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. I hate that people are so down or so wanting to see more Concord like failures.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is what's really annoying about it. The game's not that bad, but the problem is
good.
Is
it's
that
a good shooter.
Ooh, it's just
that is actually pixel art.
Yeah, that's actually nicer pixel art than the God of War's. And I like the God of War pixel art, but this is better. Like this looks better for me.
Jeez.
Yeah, again, I don't know why they didn't show this. It's like this would have been cool as hell to see.
Yeah, they probably were like, we already have 2 Metroid.
Probably.
I didn't want to have a third one there.
I think you play as Kain and Raziel in this.
That's cool, man. Multiple protagonists.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you play as Raziel when he's still a human, which is awesome. Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot all about this. I'm actually glad you said that.
Yeah. Do we know? Did they put a release date? Like,
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's it's just coming soon.
March 31st.
Okay.
Jeez, yeah, that's right around the corner.
Yeah,
I'll definitely keep an eye out on that.
Good looking out, Todd. I forgot all about that game.
Yes, no, thank you for the shout out there. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say other than that. It's like I'm enjoying gaming, but I hate the platform holders right now. The platform holders are just not doing. They're doing everything in my power to not like them. Meanwhile, sleazy Nintendo's over there in the corner being like.
I actually ridiculous stuff, and people are like, "Please, Daddy, can I have some more?"
I went on a rant to Clint today, and I was like, "Look, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. That is your money." I was like, "But my God, is it sleazy that they charge $5 for that patch for Xenoblade?"
For a patch for Xenoblade,
and I even said, "I was like, look, I have always been, and I will continue to always be a champion of remasters because if they are needed, I truly have no problem with them." I was like, when there is nothing added or no effort put into it like this, you cannot charge for this. Plus, bear in mind, this game came out after the Switch 2 was already out. So this could have launched. What's that?
I was watching videos and they did put some effort into this one.
Well, I more mean like it's not like they went through like redid textures. They upped the resolution. They made it
the frame rate,
and they're actually charging for this. That is so sleazy.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like they actually put a decent amount of effort for Mario Odyssey, like what they did for Odyssey,
which is free.
That was free. So it's like what they put out free and what they're charging money for the same amount of work. It's actually weird.
There's no consistency. Yeah,
and again, I do wonder if it's because they put their best sellers got the free treatment because they already got the money, and this ones are selling less.
That could be. Yeah, that could be.
It's a shame because Xenoblade is such a great franchise.
And the frustrating part, like what makes it especially bad, is Xenoblade Chronicles X came out after the Switch 2 was already out. So this could have actually launched as a version. Instead, it came out in December. It came out in December.
Oh yes, but that was in Wii U. That was a Wii U game.
It was the Wii U ported game, correct? Yes.
Yes, because Xenoblade Chronicles X came out in March of last year, and that was 2 months before Switch 2. So
I thought it came out in December.
Nope. December 2015 was the original release of Xenoblade Chronicles X, but the Switch version was March because that was the last Switch game I bought before we were in the Switch 2 era.
So. Either way, charging $5 for this is criminal.
Yeah.
if they'd have added skins or something, I'd be like, all right, at least there you're getting something, right?
Yeah.
No, all they did was up the resolution and frame rate, and
yeah, it's the same work they just did for the things that they did for free. So again, it's like it's weird what their criteria is. But hey, they are putting a game that should have been in the Nintendo Switch Online. They're selling it a la carte, and that's Pokemon. Like Fire Red.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
$20 a piece.
And $20.
I didn't realize they were selling them. I thought they were part of the Game Boy catalog.
Yeah, and they're not putting them at all in that catalog, which everyone was expecting them to. So it's like that's interesting, and also weirdly pro-consumer of them, because like they would have charged 60 for this day for this cycle, and they're charging 20. So I'm like, that's wild. That's like wild for a sleazy Nintendo and Pokemon company. So meanwhile, Nintendo laughing while selling 13 million copies of Mario Party every year. That's kind of like the irony of all of this. Like, these other two platform holders are like, let's destroy each other. Well, meanwhile, Nintendo's like, we're gonna be sleazy over here. We're winning because we're like, our fan base has Stockholm syndrome with us.
We're a family company. Well, there's a reason why we do it all.
Exactly.
It's for the safety of the children.
Oh yes, we got to protect the kids.
Yes.
Yeah, from the island. So.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I think we'll end it here. We've kind of gone down down a side path here enough already. So
yeah. Frank, do you have your cookie?
I do. It's right here. I guess while I'm opening it, Freight, sir, it was good having you here. I appreciate you coming in, filling in for Clint, who once again is busy not playing Hollow Knight somewhere else. But where can people find you, my friend?
Freight Conductor on Twitch and YouTube. I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays usually. Screw around there. You can probably find me in your favorite Discord, sharing my useless opinion. And then, hey, I love showing up to these whenever you put up the bat symbol. It's always a great time. So, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Alex.
They can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SlayerGiant. Also the same handle on Twitter and the Blue Skies. So, and my written content at seasongaming.com, where this year I reviewed Dragon Quest 7 and I did the tech review for Avowed on PS5. Spoilers.
I heard not great. I mean, not bad. It's just the same, basically. Yeah.
If you're on a pro, you're only getting a boost mode, basically.
That's what I saw.
No bells and whistles, and it's decent on base. So, but if you play it on Xbox, stay on Xbox. So,
and I, first of all, have a fortune to read. Watch for a stranger to soon become a friend. I don't want any friends, so I'm good. Thank you.
Well, that applies for me. Nice meeting you, Frank.
I should have said don't want any new friends.
Yes.
I filled my quota.
Yes.
You can find me at Butch4969 at all the places except for Discord. I guess if you DM me on there, I'll talk to you.
I will say I am a little sad that you're gone. I get why you are, but it is a little quiet in there. And it was nice to talk with you and get some of your opinions and hear some of this.
Well, to be clear, I probably didn't clarify this. I did send you a Steam friend request for a reason. And I know you accepted it, but that was why I did it.
Okay. Okay.
Like that way you still had a means of talking to me if you wanted to. Alex, Twitter, you can DM me on Discord. I don't log into it, but I still get the pop-ups when someone DMs me, so I know it. But yeah, so I guess very long story short, Discord thinks they're our mom. And in my own little personal pushback on this, I have decided to stop using Discord as in the social media side of things in terms of the chatting in it, which is a bummer because I did have some friends in that group that I liked. But unless Discord gets their head out of their ass, which they're not going to, and walk it back, if they do that, I'll be back. But for the time being, Twitter, PlayStation Network, Steam, Xbox, you find me there. That's more where it is, but they're definitely going to card me because I am in some groups that have NSFW stuff. And the second they would say, we need proof that you're an adult, when I've been using it for like 8 years, I'm like, well, by your own terms, then I would have to be old enough for this because I think 13 is their minimum age for it.
Yeah,
so I would have to. No, well, that's why they're doing this, because they have to protect the teenagers. You know how you protect the teenagers? You tell them they can't use the platform.
They lie. They know the way around.
I understand that. That. But at that point, you put the onus on the parent to know what they're doing. But anyway, so I haven't really been using it much anymore. But that said, I've been trying to think of the people that I was talking to if I don't have connection to them outside of things. So
don't start, Todd. Please don't start.
What?
Read Todd's
Wait.
comment.
When did I say that? Because I want to punch myself in the face if I actually did. That is the dumbest meme that has ever existed.
Dude.
It is
My
so dumb.
14-year-old says it all the time, and she's got my 4-year-old saying it now too.
You need to ground her for life.
No.
For
Everyone go watch my VOD of me playing through the final part of Resident Evil, my replay of Resident Evil 7 on Tuesday. This curse number was hunting me through rage bait on my chat and things that were happening in that game. I thought I would lose my mind. So
did I really say that? What the hell would I have said that?
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that at all. And if so, I hate myself. I have to punish myself. But anyway, yeah. So there it is. Twitch, PlayStation, Steam. You got
Yeah. Andy, spread in the Nerd Discord, and you can also join mine over at the Slayer Giants. So
yeah, there is a Discord there. I won't be there, but you can hang out with Clint and tell him why he should play Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks everybody for hanging out.
You're welcome.
We will catch you later. See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.